Every day, this little monk listens to his master and brings mung bean cakes to the cave behind the mountain. The master says this is where their ancestors practiced, yet for so long, the boy has never seen anyone here. Feeling very hungry, the little monk can only shout loudly, "Ancestors, please give me a piece." If no one answers, I'll take it as permission to eat. Not receiving a response, the little monk thinks about his master's round belly. Could it be that the master has secretly eaten all the mung bean cakes, and there are no ancestors here at all? With that thought, he happily eats the mung bean cakes. Suddenly, the entire cave collapses with a loud rumble, shaking him with fear. After a while, when the dust settles, he looks at his hand and realizes that the piece of mung bean cake has fallen to the ground. The little monk clutches his head in regret. "Oh no, my cake." Seeing the delicious cake on the ground, his heart aches, and tears flow down his cheeks as he laments, "Why didn't I just take a big bite earlier?" At that moment, a young man with white hair appears beside the little monk. "This piece of cake is no longer edible," he says. The little monk looks back in shock, and then his face turns angry as he points at the man and shouts, "You bad person, give my mung bean cake back." The little monk uses all his strength to wave his tiny arm, wanting to seek justice, but the man stops him with just one finger. Calmly, he said, "That is clearly my cake." The young monk looked at him in confusion, then walked around to observe closely. "Could it be that you are the old ancestor?" He also asked in bewilderment, "Are you a disciple of Juyu Temple?" The boy proudly crossed his arms and introduced himself respectfully, "I am Wu Chen, the 107th generation disciple of Juyu Temple." The old ancestor at this moment held his head in nostalgia. "It's been over 500 years, and the Juyu Temple I founded has grown strong to the 107th generation. Wu Chen then slapped him with reality. "Actually, it's not that strong, old ancestor. Right now, there are only two of us, me and the master at Juyu Temple." He immediately turned to stone in disbelief. Just then, a girl with a beautiful soul rushed over and hugged him tightly, crying, "Help me, there's a snake, there's a snake." With a figure like this, based on his experience, she was definitely not a bad person. However, he still awkwardly called out, even though he was handsome, the young lady should still maintain a bit of modesty. But his face of enjoyment was noticed by the young monk, addicted and yet shy. Wu Chen turned around and spotted a small snake rushing towards them. Without any unnecessary movements, he grabbed its head and put it into his bag, his face beaming with joy. "Today we get to eat snake meat, hee hee." Master was hugging a girl and was startled. "You are a monk, kid." The girl was also confused and ran over to ask, "Aren't you afraid of snakes?" Wu Chen replied, "Snakes are delicious, why should I be afraid? I'm not afraid of you either, because you're also very delicious. This kid is quite something, right, bro?" The girl could only hold her head in helplessness. "Where did you learn to flirt, kid?" Then she introduced herself as Yi Bing, from Hang City. "I came here to find Wu Yuan from Juyu Temple, do you two know him?" Wu Chen quickly answered, "That's my master. I can take you to find him." Yi Bing curiously pointed at him and was introduced by Wu Chen, "That's our old ancestor." She immediately panicked, "What old ancestor is so young? Could it be that the male god I was hugging before is actually an old man?" Recalling what her grandfather had told her a few days ago, "As long as you can invite an expert out of the mountain, you will definitely gain many benefits." Given her granddaughter's love for handsome men, her grandfather could only say, "He is the most handsome man I have ever met." Back to the present, Yi Bing curiously asked Wu Chen, "Is your master handsome?" Leaving the kid dumbfounded, if considering in Juyu Temple, perhaps he ranks second, does that count as handsome? Yi Bing was left speechless by this little monk. At the same time, at the foot of the mountain, a luxury car stopped. The door opened, and a man stepped out, his gaze fixed on the ancient Juyu Temple atop the mountain. He was Yang Guo from the tourism group. He had tried several times to acquire this piece of land, but the abbot had firmly refused each time. Behind him, a confident man stepped forward, speaking with an arrogant tone, "This is simple, just demolish the temple and it's done." Yang Gu shook his head in warning, "That old monk is not to be underestimated. Last time I brought 5 people, and he defeated us all." The man scoffed, "Hey, don't compare me to those useless guys. I am La Bao, the 5th-ranked fighter of the Iron Armor Gang." Saying that, he raised his hand, lifting a massive rock and hurled it straight at the temple. At the top of Ji Shi Mountain, Juyu Temple remained peaceful. Thanks to Wu Chen's guidance, Yi Bing and he had reached the temple. As they entered the courtyard, Wu Chen hurried off to find the master, leaving Yi Bing standing there. The old ancestor quickly left to find something to eat. Wu Chen rushed in to report, "Master, the master has exited." Wu Yuan remained seated, causing the boy to panic. "Is he dead?" Suddenly, the old master woke up and asked, "Is the food here?" Wu Chen sighed in relief, "Oh, thank goodness, I'm still alive." The old master opened his eyes wide. "Where is master?" "Where?" Then he hurriedly stepped outside. There he saw Yi Bing standing there, and suddenly a strange object appeared, making both of them widen their eyes. Yi Bing exclaimed, "Are you kidding me?" It was the gigantic stone created by La Bao, hurtling straight towards them, likely to flatten the entire temple. Yi Bing cried out, clasping her hands in prayer, "This is it, I'm still single." Wu Chen turned pale with fear and pointed at the stone, "Master." The old monk protected Wu Chen, saying, "Stand behind me," and then gathered energy in his hands. Wu Chen hid in the monk's robe, clinging tightly to the master's leg. Beneath them, a formation appeared, and Wu Yuan activated the protective formation to defend against it. The meteorite collided with the formation, temporarily being blocked. But soon after, the formation shattered, and the old monk was also pushed back. Wu Chen anxiously supported the master, "Are you okay?" On the roof, their master was sitting and eating mung bean cake. Just as he took a bite, he looked up and saw the meteorite rushing towards him. "Hey, hey." He only used one finger while eating and said, "Could you not disturb me?" The meteorite was right above him. With one finger, he gently supported the rock. Lightning surrounded it, and then the rock exploded. He leisurely finished his bite of cake. After the explosion, the meteorite was reduced to fragments. Yi Bing looked at the debris under her feet and asked Wu Chen in confusion, "Did master create this?" Wu Chen, unaware of anything, excitedly reached out towards Wu Yuan, "Master, you're amazing." The boy grabbed the corner of master's robe, his eyes full of admiration. But clearly, it wasn't the old man who did it. Yi Bing asked Wu Yuan, "Are you Wu Yuan?" The old man replied slowly, "I am Wu Yuan." "May I ask who the donor girl is?" Yi Bing was utterly disappointed. "It has nothing to do with the term, handsome guy, at all. Grandpa tricked me again." The two masters looked at her pained expression, completely bewildered. Wu Yuan suddenly remembered and turned to Wu Chen, "Right, where did you say master was?" The boy looked around, "That's right, where is master?" "He was just behind me a moment ago." At that moment, master finally landed on the ground. Wu Chen hurriedly tugged at the old great master's robe, "Master, ancestor, master." Wu Yuan turned around and, seeing him, rushed over with both hands raised, ready to pay his respects. Wu Yuan pays respects to the ancestor. Before he could finish his sentence, he was tightly grabbed by the collar, pointing to his throat, implying, "No more formalities, give me water, water." He choked because he ate the mung bean cake too quickly. Yi Bing opened a bottle of Coca-Cola and handed it to him. Without caring what it was, he gulped down half the bottle in one go, his eyes suddenly lighting up. "What is this? It's so delicious." He looked just like a child. Yi Bing didn't know that he had never drunk soda before and found it very strange. Wu Chen, seeing him praise the taste, also wanted to try. "Master, I want some too." The boy also took a big gulp. This kind of drink is like opening up heaven. Before he could rejoice, it was snatched back by him. Wu Chen pleaded, climbing over the master, "Leave me some, don't drink it all." Wu Yuan remained vigilant, having noticed a guest arriving. La Bao leisurely climbed the steps, saying to Yang Gu, "Don't worry, Juyu Temple has definitely been flattened by now." Yang Gu hurriedly thanked La Bao, while boasting as he had just managed to crawl up to Juyu Temple. Both were astonished, their jaws dropping. The scene was nothing like they had imagined, nothing had changed here. What had changed was La Bao's meteorite, which had shattered. The old monk was still there, completely unscathed. Yi Bing also glanced in their direction. Yang Gu was sweating at the sight. "La Bao, you can't be, you said it would definitely be flattened, right? What's going on now?" La Bao also didn't understand what had happened, but seeing the old monk, he regained his confidence. He explained to Yang Gu, It seems that the old monk activated some kind of formation to hold the stone back, but he has already exhausted his strength. He stepped forward to intimidate. Old monk, hand over your Juyu temple, or else my martial arts will flatten this place. While threatening, he raised his arm, clearly pushing too hard, wanting to engage in a martial arts duel right away. The two men closed in on each other, La Bao's face full of provocation. Meanwhile, Wu Chen was rolling on the ground, crying and throwing a tantrum at the master. Why did you drink it all without leaving a single drop? He held the water bottle in his hand, unable to contain his emotions. It was so delicious, I couldn't resist. Yi Bing crossed her arms. I don't understand why you are fighting over food meant for children. No one is paying attention to La Bao, who is causing a scene. He feels offended and insists on being heard. At this moment, Wu Chen notices someone standing at a distance. Upon recognizing Yang Gu, the boy points and calls out, it's that bad guy from last time. Yang Gu threatens the old monk, I'll give you half a minute to think, either you leave on your own, or we will break in. Wu Yuan calmly says to Wu Chen, did you not always want to learn the Juyu fist technique? Pay close attention. Wu Chen anxiously reaches out towards the master, your body. La Bao is eager to fight. Wu Yuan gathers his energy. The Juyu fist technique was created by Master Yi Juyu and is extremely powerful. I initially planned to pass it on when you were a bit older, but perhaps this is the last opportunity. His words sound like a farewell before departure. Yi Juyu recognizes the name, the Juyu fist technique. Isn't that the fist technique you once demonstrated? La Bao, filled with some strength, charges forward, and with a leap, cracks the ground beneath him. He rushes in, intending to strike the old monk with his fist. Wu Yuan raises his hand to meet the challenge, but just as their hands are about to touch, the old man unexpectedly changes direction, moving beneath him, using the fist technique aimed at a sensitive spot. But he managed to dodge it. Yi Bing and Wu Chen were left speechless. Yi Juyu, sitting nearby, assessed the situation. The movement was correct but a bit slow. La Bao noticed the weakness, leaped high, clasped his hands together to gather strength, and then struck with all his might at the back of the old monk. Wu Chen shouted, Master. The old monk lay flat on the ground. La Bao stood in front of him, demanding the Juyu temple. Despite his serious injuries, Wu Yuan was not easily swayed. Seeing the old man was too stubborn, La Bao said, then go die. His foot was about to stomp straight onto Wu Yuan's face. As it was nearly touching the old man's face and he was unable to resist, both Yi Bing and Wu Chen were tense. But no, he was not going to have it his way. Yi Juyu used his foot to block La Bao's leg. What are you trying to do? Planning to kill my disciple? Wu Chen was overjoyed. Master, you're here. Grateful to have his master save him, Wu Yuan thanked him as well. He turned to Wu Chen and told him to take the master to rest. Yi Bing assisted in taking the old monk inside, while La Bao attacked him. A punch from La Bao came swinging, but he only needed to tilt his head to evade it. Initially, La Bao laughed confidently, but soon his expression changed, so fast. The man had vanished from his sight. At this moment, his hand had reached a sensitive area. Actually, I just want to teach my own technique again. The Juyu fist technique must be used like this. The egg broke, causing La Bao to become deformed. He rolled on the ground, feeling the pain. Yi Juyu dusted off his hands, while the Yi Bing group gaped, not knowing if they had seen it clearly. Yang Gu witnessed La Bao being knocked away by him and felt frightened. How is that possible? He is the 5th-ranked expert in the Iron Armor gang, yet he couldn't withstand a single move from that guy. Wu Chen, his eyes sparkling like small stars, looked at Yi Juyu with admiration. Master is really impressive. La Bao lay on the ground, angry, gripping a few blades of grass tightly. Getting beaten like this is really annoying. Yi Juyu lazily yawned. The old monk respectfully clasped his hands together. I pay my respects to the master. He tossed a pill to Wu Yuan. No need for formalities, this pill is for healing, take it. La Bao stood up, pulling out something, squeezing it tightly in his hand, releasing a purple light accompanied by small bolts of lightning. It turned out to be a hammer. Unable to win in a fair fight, he resorted to using a weapon. Yang Ji's mouth dropped open as he saw La Bao carrying the hammer on his shoulder. This is a level D superpower weapon, it sounds quite powerful. Lao Bao held the hammer tightly, leaping up from behind to ambush Yi Juyu. But he was kicked away by him. The kick wasn't too strong, he just flew off the peak, back to the foot of the mountain. His hammer spun in the air and finally fell into his hands. This hammer is really ugly. Yang Gu was quite cowardly and trembled at the sight. Then, he left the mountain as fast as he could. The glasses he dropped were probably no longer needed. In his mind now, the mountain is full of monsters, otherwise, who could do that? Yi Bing said, it seems that hammer is a level D superpower weapon. Wu Chen, filled with thousands of questions, asked, Sister, what is a level D superpower weapon? She explained, a superpower weapon is a weapon that can give people super energy. The kid still had a lot to learn, so what is super energy? She was left speechless. Yi Bing pointed at him and the old monk, asking Wu Chen, aren't they superpower wielders? Wu Yuan quickly clarified that she misunderstood. They practiced martial arts, not the superpower she was talking about. So she misunderstood. Yi Juyu turned the hammer over and over, evaluating it. Finding nothing special, he threw it to Wu Chen. The kid was very happy to have a weapon. Indeed, children are easily satisfied. Yi Bing remembered her grandfather saying that after superpowers emerged, martial arts gradually declined as they could not compete with superpowers. Why was it not as she knew now? Wu Yuan finally had the chance to ask Yi Bing about her visit. Is there a reason the donor has come to Juyu Temple this time? Wu Yuan asked, but Yi Bing seemed to have forgotten her main purpose. She hurriedly introduced herself, my name is Yi Bing. My grandfather is Yi Tianli. Wu Yuan was surprised, the donor is Tianli's granddaughter. Is your grandfather still well? Meanwhile, Wu Chen was busy playing with the new hammer in his hands. Yi Bing shook her head, her grandfather was not in good condition. She had come to invite the monk for help. The old monk agreed immediately, even though he hadn't seen her grandfather for a long time. Wu Chen swung the hammer up and slammed it down on the ground, shouting, Wu Chen bong bong trui. A layer of mist appeared, and the boy and the master stood watching the result. A small whirlwind approached Yi Bing and Wu Yuan, lifting the old monk into the air. Wu Chen found this weapon really powerful. Yi Juyu also showed interest, saying, I didn't expect weapons could be used like this. Wu Chen refused to let him see, saying, no, it was given to you, you can't ask for it back. Yi Bing reminded, aren't you two going to save him? Wu Chen suddenly jolted, shouting, Master, hurry and save the master. Yi Juyu retracted the hammer, causing the old monk to fall from above, creating a loud thud. Yi Bing helped the old man up, while Wu Chen rushed over to check on him. Wu Yuan painfully said that the old man wouldn't die, just needed to rest for a while to recover. This old bone was truly concerning. He looked at the hammer, which had a gem attached to it, murmuring, this aura feels familiar, like the monster from that year. Yi Juyu and Wu Chen escorted Yi Bing down the mountain. She walked ahead, with Wu Chen sitting on his shoulders following closely behind. The two boys had tricked two super strong bodyguards down the mountain, and Yi Bing felt she had accomplished something great. The two of them each held a bottle of Coca-Cola, drinking joyfully as if living in a world of bubbles. To speed things up, Yi Bing promised that if they got down the mountain before dark, she would reward the two with another bottle. Yi Juyu and Wu Chen's eyes sparkled. Full speed ahead, running like the wind, leaving her far behind. But wait, that's wrong, the mission is to bring her down the mountain, so why am I going ahead of her? At the same time, in a corner of Jishi Mountain, Lao Bao was gravely injured. Someone approached him, and he was startled and surprised to recognize this person. After 3 hours, Yi Bing finally leaned on her cane and dragged herself out of Jishi Mountain as dusk fell. When she saw the other two, they were leisurely starting a fire, and Yi Juyu was eating an apple. Thinking about what had just happened, she felt even angrier, but ultimately, due to exhaustion, she sat down on the ground. She was too tired to go any further and had no strength left to be angry. This place was still a 3-hour journey from Hang City. She regretted letting the driver leave early, now she had to suffer alone. Yi Juyu drank a lot of soda and kept burping. Wu Chen, carrying a large hammer on his back, asked Yi Bing, where are we going next? She could no longer walk and decided to find a tavern to stay for the night and figure things out later. She opened her phone and found a nearby tavern, immediately feeling uplifted, signaling for the other two to follow. Seeing the resting place, she was as happy as a blooming flower. The fatigue had lessened significantly. At least I can rest at the tavern, she thought. Juyu and Wuchen found it strange. Just a moment ago, she was too tired to move, but now she's so enthusiastic. Wuchen curiously asked Juyu, Master, why do we need to find a tavern after sleeping for a night? Juyu had no idea what a tavern was. She probably just wants to drink. Upon arriving at the tavern, the sky was getting dark, and the inside was quite crowded and chaotic, with many pickpockets around. Everyone was armed with knives and swords, and they didn't look friendly at all. The door creaked open, catching the attention of the patrons, who all became alert. As they entered, everyone could only see a girl accompanied by an ordinary young man and a child. Yi Bing approached to greet them, stating that they wanted to rent a room. A short-haired woman, holding a half-finished cigarette, who looked like the manager, asked her which sect she belonged to. Yi Bing was surprised. Sect? I don't belong to any sect. But we just want to rent a room. What does that have to do with anything? Juyu happily introduced that they were from Juyu Temple. The woman had never heard of Juyu Temple, so she waved them away, saying, this place only serves the superpower sect. Wu Chen and Juyu were struck like lightning, feeling as if they had been slapped in the face. Haven't you heard? So you've really fallen this far. Yi Bing slammed the table. It's not that we won't pay, why won't you rent to us? A blade was pressed against her neck, and the one holding the knife warned, little girl, don't you understand? A figure appeared behind them, saying, this place is booked by them today. Guo Lei pressed the knife against Yi Bing's neck. The sharp blade could easily hurt her if she wasn't careful. She was frightened. If it's booked, then fine, but why resort to violence? He moved closer to her, intimidating her. Anyone who came to this place was armed with a knife. If she wanted a room, she could stay with him. It turned out he had ulterior motives towards her, with thoughts as disgusting as his face. A hand grabbed Yi Bing's, and Juyu pulled her out, immediately switching positions to help her escape danger. Due to the rapid movement, Guo Lei hadn't noticed and asked, need to reconsider? He stared in surprise. When did you change into someone else? How did a woman become a man? His expression was quite remarkable. An aura emanated from Juyu that frightened him, resembling a ferocious beast. Under the pressure from Juyu, Guo Lei fell to the ground. The group accompanying him immediately sprang into action, drawing weapons, with knives and swords aimed at him. At this moment, someone spoke up, stop it. It was Kai Dui, the innkeeper. Guo Lei, you haven't forgotten the rules of my place, have you? He leaned down, I apologize, Kai shopkeeper, this is just a misunderstanding, it's them. He intended to shift the blame but was signaled to be quiet by Kai Dui. Upon realizing the misunderstanding, Kai Dui expressed his apologies and introduced himself as the owner of the establishment. I hope everyone can forgive the misunderstanding earlier, he said with a look of regret. Juyu appeared indifferent, but Yi Bing could not let it go easily. You call it a misunderstanding when he held a knife to my throat, she questioned, her voice filled with anger. Kai Dui could only bow his head in apology and offered to give them a luxury room, with the room fee covered by him. Although still annoyed, Yi Bing reluctantly accepted, at least they had a place to rest. Kai Dui ordered the ant who had chased them away to show the guests to their room. She seemed displeased but had to obey the order. No one knew that Kai Dui had noticed the hammer on Wu Chen's back. Especially the sparkling spirit stone attached to it. When they reached the room, Yi Bing suddenly remembered that she had forgotten to request 2 separate rooms because she was too focused on the argument. The ant coldly replied, there's only 1 room left, if you don't want it, then forget it. Yi Bing was angry at her attitude but had no choice. Seeing Juyu and Wu Chen naively opening the room door, she silently sighed, oh my, do I really have to share a room with these two? Fortunately, the luxury room was quite spacious and well-equipped. Yi Bing decided to sleep in the inner room, while the other 2 would sleep in the living room on the condition that they wouldn't step into her room. Wu Chen excitedly jumped onto the sofa, while Juyu lay down and began to think, the people downstairs are not ordinary, why are they gathering here? He wondered but couldn't find an answer, so he used his divine consciousness to probe the surroundings. As the divine consciousness spread, he unexpectedly discovered Yi Bing's figure preparing to take a shower. Juyu blushed, his heart racing, and quickly withdrew his divine consciousness. Downstairs, the group that had just caused trouble was discussing, and one of them asked Guolei, "Boss, is there a problem with those guys today?" According to him, Yi Bing and Wu Chen were both ordinary people. As for Yi Juyu, he is difficult to predict. Guolei finished his beer and said, "He seems to have some strength, not someone easy to deal with. I hope his target is not like ours." After that, he ordered, "We will depart according to plan." Guolei stood up, deciding not to rest anymore. Their target was the spirit stone that had just appeared on Jishi Mountain, which excited him greatly. However, he did not know that his plan had been discovered by Yi Juyu. Yi Juyu withdrew his divine consciousness, opening his eyes with a puzzled expression, "Spirit stone." At night, Yi Bing gently opened the door and peeked into the room. Everyone was fast asleep. She tiptoed in, but suddenly a voice startled her, "Hey, you came at the right time." It turned out that Yi Juyu had woken up. Yi Bing awkwardly pointed outside, I'm going to hang out the laundry." Yi Juyu asked her if she knew about the spirit stone. Yi Bing was confused, huh? Meanwhile, at Jishi Mountain, the members of the Manhwa gang were advancing deep into the forest. The leader shouted loudly, "Hurry up, what has appeared this time is very likely the black spirit stone. If we get it, the Manhwa gang will rise to a new level." On a high branch, a woman with green hair is sitting, biting a piece of meat in her hand and smiling. Black Spirit Stone is the blue spider Yang Yi, the third member of the Iron Armor gang. She sits cross-legged, looking down at the group of the Manhwa gang, murmuring, "I heard the quality is good here." Accompanying her is La Bao, the fifth member of the gang. He asks, "Black Spirit Stone, are we going?" Yang Yi stands up and laughs. "The black spirit stone is much rarer than the purple spirit stone. In our Iron Armor gang, only the boss owns one. Do you think we can miss out on this?" Saying that, she jumps down to the ground. La Bao continues to ask, "What about the thief of my spirit stone?" Yang Yi replies, "Don't worry, he won't get away. I'll go report to Dai Xiong." Back in the room, Yi Bing turns to Yi Juyu and wonders, "Don't you know about spirit stones?" Yi Juyu points to the hammer on Wu Chen's back, "Is it this?" Yi Bing explains, "About 500 years ago, spirit stones appeared in the world. They have a four-pointed star shape, purple in color, and are found within the bodies of monsters. Later, people discovered they provide enormous power to humans. Spirit stones are divided into three types, purple, black, and red. Purple spirit stones are often used to craft superpower weapons. Like Wu Chen's hammer. I've heard that the black spirit stone can grant a person superpowers instantly, but I've never seen one." Yi Juyu pondered, "It must be related to the monster from 500 years ago. The black spirit stone, huh? Let's go take a look." Yi Bing turned back into the room, but Yi Juyu had disappeared at some point. She shook her head and yawned, "Forget him, I'm going to sleep." She turned and walked away, the door slamming shut. Just a moment later, the door opened again, and a shadowy figure stepped inside. Wu Chen was still sound asleep, drooling. He grabbed the storm hammer and held it up to the moonlight for a closer inspection. "This is definitely a spirit stone." Meanwhile, the Manhwa gang had arrived at an open area. According to the intel, the target is right ahead. Suddenly, a strange noise came from the bushes. Guo Lei took notice, "Humph." Then a fierce beast appeared. He quickly struck the beast's back, causing it to cry out in pain and fall. Just then, another footstep echoed. Guo Lei was surprised, "Huh? Who's that?" Yang Yi sat on a tree stump, propping her chin up, smiling charmingly, "Thank you for leading the way." Guo Lei realized her intentions, she wanted to steal the spirit stone. He rushed forward, shouting, "Want to die?" Yang Yi drew her weapon from her crossbody bag, swish. She parried Guo Lei's attack and countered with satisfaction. Guo Lei was hit and fell down. 3 hours earlier, in a small town near Jishi Mountain. At the dining table, someone asked, "Hey the brother, is the story you just told true or are you just drunk and rambling?" The brother's face turned crimson as he grinned lewdly, "Do you doubt the words of the King of Intelligence? I saw the star beast carrying the black spirit stone at Jishi Mountain with my own eyes." He declared loudly, "I sold this news to the Manhwa gang." A traveler at the next table heard every word clearly. After hearing this, everyone believed the information and rushed outside to check for the black spirit stone. Hurry, let's go see. The old man Yi Tianli chuckled softly, a bead of sweat running down his cheek, thinking to himself, Shi Mountain is in chaos now. The traveler stood up, adjusted his hat, and walked past the drunken man. Hey, where did everyone go? The dagger at his leg flew out, whoosh. The drunken man fell down, a long gash on his back. The traveler Luo Di left with a swagger. In the present time, the group of people in the bar had gathered at the place where the Manhwa gang was standing. Above, a person was already standing ready. What's going on? Yang Yi asked suspiciously, stroking her chin. All the members of the Manhwa gang have been killed, why do others still know about the Star Beast? La Bao threw a man to the ground and ran over to listen. Alright, it's the one who sold the information to the Manhwa gang. He got drunk and leaked the news. Yang Yi anxiously twirled a lock of hair. You're back, where is Dai Xiong? Boom. Something shot down from the sky near where Yang Yi was standing, kicking up a cloud of dust. It was the person she had just asked about, the fourth officer of the Iron Armor gang, Dai Xiong. The three of them stood looking down at the situation below. Yang Yi said with a smile, humph. This time we have enough people, but the leaked information is indeed a problem, it seems we have to fight. La Bao thought about the time he fought with Yi Juyu and worriedly thought, I hope that guy doesn't show up again. In a nearby forest, a traveler stood in contemplation, looking ahead. In the bushes, a group of armed people cautiously approached him. One shouted, Hey, kid, you're here to find the Star Beast too, right? Luo Di ignored him and walked away. Noticing he was being ignored, the man grew furious, raised his gun toward Luo Di, and shouted, Hey, I'm talking to you. Luo Di remained silent. The man sneered and asked, Mute, huh? Bang. The bullet fired. He turned around, snarling, then go to hell. The bullet shot straight at Luo Di. Whoosh. Luo Di's figure blurred and faded like an illusion, the bullet passing through and striking a tree trunk instead. The loudmouth was horrified, sweat dripping down his face. Since when had Luo Di already closed the distance? A knife flashed across their necks before they could even react. Luo Di swiftly sheathed the blade, adjusted his hat, and walked away calmly. Behind him, the two men collapsed heavily to the ground. Glancing around, Luo Di muttered, This place will do. He set his backpack down, rummaged inside, and pulled out a satellite device. Placing it on the ground face up, tick-tick, the sound of a signal scan rang out. It projected a spinning circular pattern. Luo Di leapt into the air as a sound wave spread across the entire area. Members of the Iron Armor gang approaching the edge of the wave froze. What's this? One muttered. Yang Yi replied, A Star Beast summoning artifact. Looks like an expert has been drawn here. La Bao frowned, worried, the Star Beast summoning artifact, isn't this the favorite toy of the Sho Xi organization? Yang Yi, uninterested yet intrigued, replied, it really is Sho Xi. This is going to be interesting. Let's go over there. Above, Yi Juyu clasped his hands behind his back, using his divine consciousness to scan the surroundings. He chuckled lightly, looks like a lot of people have come. The sound wave from the Star Beast summoning artifact had caught Yi Juyu's attention. Humph. A dark shadow perched on a tree branch, birds flying chaotically in the sky. Where Luo Di sat, a large shadow loomed over him as a monster appeared. The beast swung its front legs, creating a golden magical circle. It slammed down where Luo Di was sitting, sending earth and rocks flying in all directions. Luo Di jumped up, narrowly avoiding its attack. He leaped onto a nearby high branch and drew his dagger. The star beast roared, its sound wave attacking in Luo Di's direction. Nearby, the Iron Armor gang members had rushed over. It's a star beast. Yang Yi looked up at the branch where Luo Di stood and recognized, they really are from Sho Xi. Luo Di stood contemplatively on the branch, not knowing what he was thinking. The guy La Bao below disdainfully commented, this brat has even broken his sword. It seems that Sho Xi's people aren't that impressive after all. With a whoosh, Luo Di suddenly found that it had disappeared into thin air. La Bao was confused. Luo Di rushed towards the giant star beast, raising the broken sword towards him. Under La Bao's bewildered gaze, Yang Yi sternly shouted, "You fool!" At that moment, from the break of the sword in Luo Di's hand, a blue lightning bolt flashed, reconstructing the broken part of the sword. Yang Yi explained that his sword was not a broken sword, but a superpower weapon of level S, a true 100%. Luo Di swung the sword, and the lightning spread throughout the space. Even from thousands of miles away, one could still feel the terrifying power of the sword. The lightning shot straight up into the sky, creating a violent shockwave. La Bao stood frozen, sweat pouring down, stammering, really strong indeed." After the fierce attack, Luo Di landed on the ground. The Iron Armor gang group finally realized his identity. He was one of the 10 fingers of Jin Sho Xi, Traveler Luo Di. Above where everyone was standing, a different group of people appeared. They were not afraid and dared to eye the prize. "Look over there, it's a star beast," they shouted, "kill it, take the spirit stone." Yang Yi's face darkened, angrily throwing out a jar of green powder. A stream of toxic gas emanated from it. A star beast is something that lowly creatures like you dare to covet. The green powder spread everywhere. One of the group managed to realize, what is that? Immediately, the whole group collapsed without understanding what was happening. A green spider jumped out from their bodies. Yang Yi turned to Luo Di, "Dai Xiong, it seems they are not willing to give the star beast to us." The ground shook once again. Everyone was startled and amazed. What is that? The star beast that had just been defeated stood up, looking even stronger than before, letting out a deafening roar. Its roar created a terrifying sound wave. Luo Di raised his hands in front of him, trying to block the horrifying roar. "I can't believe it, how is this possible?" Yang Yi also raised his hands to shield himself. "This star beast seems different from the last time they encountered it." Noticing the situation, Yang Yi suggested, "Hey Luo Di, it seems you can't do anything either. Or should we cooperate to eliminate it first and then continue fighting?" Luo Di turned around, his sword no longer emitting blue lightning but now blazing with fire. He walked forward, adjusting his hat with one hand. "It's up to you." Luo Di jumped high, and Dai Xiong also channeled energy into his fist. Yang Yi leaped up, and a pair of shimmering blue butterfly wings appeared behind her. Luo Di's sword slashed a path of fire, and Dai Xiong's fist struck directly at the star beast. Yang Yi unleashed countless metal energy projectiles from above. Boom! The attack created a violent shockwave that spread throughout the area. La Bao stood outside, facing a cloud of dust. "Did we succeed?" The people inside stared in disbelief, as if they had just witnessed something beyond imagination. The spot where the star beast had stood was now just a heavily devastated area, deeply cratered, with no trace of the star beast left. "It's run away!" Yang Yi exclaimed in panic. "Hurry, chase after it, it hasn't gone far." Juyu had just landed, brushing off the leaves stuck to his clothes when the star beast charged towards him from behind, intending to grab him. Juyu lightly touched the star beast's hand, causing it to freeze in confusion. Boom! A light touch from Juyu sent the star beast crashing against the rock wall. The star beast lay motionless, and the rock wall cracked open. Juyu stood there unconcerned, holding a leaf. Is it a stray cat? The star beast lay injured, creating a large trench from where it had flown. Juyu approached. "This is the star beast they were talking about." He touched the star beast and retrieved a spirit stone. After the spirit stone was taken, the star beast gradually returned to its original state. Juyu held the spirit stone up to the moonlight. It seems this is what caused the star beast to transform. While Juyu was examining the spirit stone, a pair of high heels appeared behind him. How dare someone steal from the Iron Armor gang? The group from earlier had caught up, each with a different expression. Luo Di said, "This is our spirit stone." Yang Yi angrily shouted, "Don't interrupt." Her face darkened. "You brat, the spirit stone is not something everyone can touch. Hand it over now." Juyu turned around. La Bao panicked, pointing at Juyu and stammering, It's him. The one who stole the storm hammer is him." Yang Yi's face changed color. That's perfect timing, quickly hand over both the storm hammer and the spirit stone." Yi Juyu ignored her, scratching his ear, I don't want to. Yang Yi was so furious that she felt a fire burning inside her, gritting her teeth, you want to die. Yang Yi took out her weapon, the gun's muzzle gradually gathering power. She shot straight at Yi Juyu. La Bao, standing beside her, reminded, be careful, he's very strong. Boom. A loud explosion sounded. Yang Yi smirked triumphantly, humph, can't withstand a single blow. Luo Di was startled and turned his head, Yang Yi's face turned pale, sweat streaming down her cheeks. Ha! Yi Juyu saw Yang Yi's weapon and curiously asked, what is this? Luo Di restarted his sword, glancing at Yi Juyu, since when has this guy been around? Yi Juyu snatched Yang Yi's weapon, grinning, let me borrow this for a bit. Yang Yi was angry but also scared, sweat pouring down her body, this is bad, I can't move. Who is this guy? Behind Yi Juyu, Dai Xiong was rushing in, throwing a punch. Bang! A loud explosion echoed, rocks flying everywhere. Whoosh! Through the mist, Yi Juyu had been waiting all along. He pointed the weapon he had just taken from Yang Yi at Dai Xiong, aiming directly at his face. Yi Juyu appeared to be very interested. He took aim and thought to himself, this should be the spot. Then he pulled the trigger. A powerful blast from the weapon shot out, creating a strong wind that kicked up a cloud of dust. After the shot, Yi Juyu quickly jumped onto a nearby high branch to observe the situation. As the dust settled, the image of an injured Dai Xiong emerged. Nevertheless, Dai Xiong remained steady, turning his head to search for Yi Juyu. He held Yang Yi in his arms, his gaze alert and directed toward Yi Juyu. Yi Juyu sneered, mischievously tossing away Yang Yi's weapon, wow, this thing is just weak. As he spoke, his attitude suddenly changed, humph. Luo Di appeared right in front of him, holding a sword with a cold expression. Luo Di swung his sword towards Yi Juyu, but unexpectedly, a golden shield surrounding Yi Juyu blocked the attack. Yi Juyu glanced at the spirit stone on the hilt of Luo Di's sword, thinking to himself, another spirit stone, huh? Suddenly, a strange sensation pierced through his mind. Without hesitation, Yi Juyu threw a straight punch at Luo Di's face. Luo Di was knocked back several meters, the sword flying out of his hand. Yi Juyu approached the sword, but suddenly he was startled and turned his head. A strange aura appeared, and he quickly dodged. It turned out to be Kai Dui, a member of Jin Sho Xi, who had once stolen the storm hammer. Kai Dui was dragging the bound Wu Chen along, sneering, Luo Di, it's the first time I've seen you in such a pathetic state. Wu Chen looked at Yi Juyu, tears welling in his eyes, crying out for help, Master, save me, this owner is a bad guy. Yi Juyu laughed, holding his belly and blushing, pointing at Wu Chen, haha, Wu Chen, how did you get caught? You're too weak. Wu Chen shouted angrily, stop laughing and save me quickly. Kai Dui sneered, his voice full of menace, hey, it seems you two don't quite understand the situation, do you? Luo Di beside him touched his neck and reminded, he's very strong, be careful. Kai Dui slung the storm hammer over his shoulder and lifted Wu Chen, I know, but this little monk is important to you, isn't he? Yi Juyu suddenly vanished from Kai Dui's sight, leaving him wide-eyed in shock. In an instant, both the storm hammer and Wu Chen were in Yi Juyu's hands. Kai Dui gritted his teeth, filled with surprise, so fast. Wu Chen looked up at Yi Juyu, tears ready to fall, crying, Master, they are bullying me. Yi Juyu gently stroked Wu Chen's head, saying, the disciples of Juyu Temple cannot cry easily. Wu Chen obediently nodded, wiped his tears, yes. Kai Dui spoke from behind, brother, we from Jin Sho Xi do not want to be your enemies, but the spirit stone in your hand was discovered by us first, we hope you can return it. We will reward you. Yi Juyu turned to look at them with a cold gaze. Yang Yi, worried, spoke hastily, the storm hammer belongs to us, please return it. Yi Juyu smiled lightly, you guys are quite impressive. Unfortunately, I have a use for this spirit stone, so I cannot give it to you. Saying that, he turned and waved his hand, so I'm sorry. Kai Dui replied sharply, it seems you have forgotten someone. Before Yi Juyu could understand, Wu Chen tugged at his sleeve, worried, Sister Yi Bing is still in the inn. Kai Dui smiled smugly, this place is at least 5 kilometers from the inn, and the inn is filled with my people. If you do not hand over the spirit stone, you will never see that girl again. Yi Juyu's gaze hardened, his voice cold. I hate it most when someone threatens me. Kai Dui held the remote and scoffed, if you don't believe me, you can try it. At a distance of 5 kilometers, no matter how fast you are, you won't make it in time to save anyone. Yi Juyu emitted a sound wave to search the dorm room. Inside, Yi Bing was trembling, using a blanket to cover herself, facing the thugs with knives. Yi Juyu was unsure of his expression, but he knew the black spirit stone could provide superpower. He smirked, gripping the spirit stone tightly in his palm and placing it against his chest. The power of the spirit stone spread out, enveloping him, whoosh. The person who was next to Wu Chen vanished without a trace. Wu Chen looked around, extremely confused, searching for Yi Juyu. Just 2 short seconds later, from the sky, Yi Juyu reappeared, his expression cold, holding Yi Bing in his arms. Yi Bing, who was wrapped in a towel, also had no idea what was happening, her face showing a bewildered expression with a big question mark. The members of the Iron Armor gang who witnessed this scene looked as if they had been struck by lightning, their eyes wide and mouths agape in disbelief. It can't be, they exclaimed. In the dorm room, the thugs had been knocked out. Lying motionless on the floor, Kai Dui angrily pressed the signal connection machine repeatedly. The beeping sound rang out as he looked up, his eyes filled with suspicion. Teleportation. Luo Di recalled the scene when he confronted the star beast containing the black spirit stone, where he had witnessed similar abilities. So the star beast can disappear in the blink of an eye, that is indeed the power of teleportation. Kai Dui turned to command Luo Di, quickly report to the boss. We must obtain this spirit stone. Luo Di nodded, adjusting the hat on his head. Meanwhile, Yi Juyu smiled, wrapping his arms around 2 people. All right, I don't have time to play with you guys. He said. Then, in the blink of an eye, he vanished before everyone's eyes. Kai Dui stood under the tree, beads of sweat rolling down his forehead. He bent over, resting his hands on his knees, gritting his teeth, his face darkening. Who the hell is he? In the darkness, on top of a high power pole, a few birds perched silently. In the glowing red eyes of one bird, an image of a quiet small path appeared. From the alley, a girl rushed out in panic. The young beautiful girl was wearing a uniform. Her long hair was neatly tied up on top of her head. She was running while continuously glancing back, her face full of fear. Suddenly, a shadow fell before her. She looked forward in terror, where a young man with a wicked expression was blocking her path. He wore a vest, his shirt wide open, licking his lips hungrily. Got you. His hand grabbed the girl's head, pushing her backward. Desperately, she screamed, no, don't. As the man pressed down, he was completely unaware that a giant puppet had appeared behind him. The puppet raised its fist high, and with one blow, it sent the man flying away, crashing hard into the wall. The force was so strong that it nearly brought the wall down, dust flying everywhere. From atop the wall, an observer spoke up, hurry up and go. The girl finally regained her senses, let out a cry, and ran away from the terrifying puppet. The one who had spoken was another girl. She raised her hand, releasing several dark currents, smiling, another decent vessel, young master will surely praise me. Those currents, under her control, infiltrated the body of the man who had just been knocked down, transforming him into a fabric puppet. The girl sitting on the wall revealed her true form. She was youthful, wearing a short dress with the title Jean Sho Xi. She skillfully manipulated the red strings with both hands, her mouth constantly complaining. The young master has not appeared for hundreds of years, when we meet again, I will definitely scold him to death. At that moment, she glanced warily. From outside the alley, a figure was approaching, pulling down a baseball cap to obscure his face. The boss quickly jumped down from the wall, merging with the puppet. The newcomer silently faced the strange puppet. He slightly bowed his head, looking up from under the brim of the cap as if assessing. Then, he knelt on one knee in greeting. Luo Di pays respects to the boss. The boss inside the puppet coldly asked. What is it? Luo Di reported. Boss, the spirit stone containing teleportation powers has appeared. Upon hearing this, the boss smiled with satisfaction. In the city of Huaxia country, Hang City, a city with closely built houses and tall buildings. Yi Juyu, Yi Bing, and Wu Chen stood in front of a magnificent villa. Yi Bing cheerfully introduced. "Here we are, this is my house." Wu Chen stared in amazement. "This house is huge, even bigger than Juyu Temple." Yi Juyu stood behind. The expression was not overly dramatic, yet it couldn't hide the surprise when gazing at the villa. "Follow me." Yi Bing led the way across the spacious courtyard with a fountain and a meticulously maintained lawn. Yi Juyu glanced around, evaluating the architecture and quietly noted, "The changes are significant, completely different from 500 years ago." Meanwhile, Wu Chen was curious about everything, constantly asking, "Is this fun?" The soccer field, the beautiful flowers, the small garden, the smell of barbecue, the barbecue area, and there's even a beach and a swimming pool inside. Suddenly, a man called out from the corner of the yard, "Yi Bing is back." It was Yi Tianming, Yi Bing's older brother. He stood at the door, arms crossed, assessing Yi Juyu and Wu Chen. "Who are these two?" Yi Bing replied without hesitation, "They are guests I invited." Yi Tianming nodded, "Are they here for the exchange event?" She nodded, "Yes, that's right." Yi Tianming looked at the two, no sign of any superpower. Just ordinary people. He curiously glanced at Yi Juyu, who had now entered the house and was surveying the room filled with bookshelves. "Perhaps I didn't see the essence of the matter. Could that be a type of superpower weapon?" Yi Tianming's gaze was fixed on the storm hammer that Wu Chen was carrying on his back. He observed the three people touring the house, then turned to ask someone in front, "What do you think?" Behind the wall that Yi Tianming was leaning against, there was another man with spiky hair and a tall stature. He quickly responded to Yi Tianming, "That is a D-level superpower weapon." Yi Tianming immediately ordered Kai Di, a level 2 superpower wielder, to investigate their identities. Kai Di quickly acknowledged, "Understood." The battles between superpower wielders are incredibly diverse, ranging from strength against strength to the use of elements in combat and even sword fights. Yi Bing painted a picture of the matches in the tournament while explaining, "The friendly matches between superpowered forces are an annual event held every 3 years in Hua Xia country. In the friendly tournament, superpowered forces that achieve high rankings will receive more resources and power for the next 3 years. Yi Juyu understood Yi Bing's intention immediately. He calmly confirmed with her, "So you want me to participate in this friendly tournament?" Meanwhile, Wu Chen, sitting beside them, was still engrossed in exploring his hammer. Yi Bing quickly confirmed and explained further, "That's right, because my family is a superpowered clan, also considered a superpowered force. This year's rule is that each participant can bring one additional external member." Yi Juyu remained with his arms crossed, neither agreeing nor disagreeing, only asking in return, "Are you saying that all superpowered forces nationwide will participate? What about the cultivating immortals sects?" Yi Bing was slightly taken aback but still explained, "Cultivating immortals sects. I've heard my grandfather mention some very powerful ancient martial sects, but I've never seen them in reality." Upon hearing this, Yi Juyu propped his chin on his hand, frowning in thought, could it be that they all disappeared after that incident years ago? Yi Bing, unaware of his thoughts, cheerfully offered a tempting condition, "That's right, if you agree to participate, I will pay you a handsome reward." She even pointed to a shelf full of Coca-Cola. "Besides the reward, you can have as much Coca-Cola as you want." An illusion of both teacher and student lounging around, sipping Coca-Cola, popped into their minds, and without hesitation, they agreed immediately, "All right, I agree." Yi Bing joyfully jumped up to hug Yi Juyu, "That's great." At the same time, in Yi Tianming's room, he was seriously sitting and writing something. Kai Di walked in from outside and announced, "It's confirmed, those two, he is indeed a member of the ancient martial sect." Upon hearing this, Yi Tianming stopped writing, skeptically snorted, "Ancient martial sect, can there still be people from the ancient martial sect deceiving others at this time?" Kai Di continued, "That superpower weapon must belong to the Iron Armor Gang, I don't know why it ended up in their hands." Yi Tianming frowned and ordered, "You go test their strength, don't let them deceive Bing and I." As night fell, the large villa of the Yi family was illuminated by wall lamps. Inside, Yi Bing was wearing a simple short dress, holding a bundle of spiritual herbs, and knocking on Yi Juyu's door. When he opened the door, she presented the bundle of spiritual herbs forward, a bit flustered, saying, "I only found these, I don't know if they are useful." Juyu assessed the bundle of spiritual herbs, ice spiritual herbs and aqua blue herbs. "They are the most ordinary spiritual herbs, right?" Seeing that Juyu showed no reaction, Bing anxiously said, "If they are not usable, I will go to the auction house to find something for you." "It's fine, just use them for now." After saying that, Juyu slammed the door right in front of Bing. She was so angry that she clenched her fists and muttered, "Your straight man at least should say thank you." Juyu held a bundle of spiritual herbs in one hand and pulled out a cloth bag from her body with the other as she entered the room. Wu Chen saw this and asked, "Master, what is this?" Juyu proudly lifted the cloth bag and said, "This is a storage bag, which contains a lot of items inside." Wu Chen was delighted, his mind filled with thoughts of Coca-Cola, and rushed over to ask, "I know, do you want to put all the Coca-Cola in there?" Immediately, the boy bumped his head on a cup and hugged his head with tears in his eyes. Juyu reminded him, "I still have to refine pills, pay attention, this is a subject that must be learned in cultivating immortals." Saying that, he rubbed the storage bag, and a wisp of smoke escaped from it, gathering on the ground before Wu Chen's astonished eyes. From the mist, the shape of a cauldron gradually emerged. But when the smoke cleared, Wu Chen's surprise took a huge hit. Because standing before them was a very shabby and tattered cauldron. Wu Chen couldn't believe it and pointed at the old cauldron, asking, "Master, can you really refine pills?" Juyu raised his hand to cover his mouth, avoiding eye contact and slightly defensive, "I haven't used it for 500 years, I didn't expect it to be so old. Well, I'll just make do for now." Saying that, he dropped the bundle of spiritual herbs into the cauldron, waved his hand to create a line of fire, igniting the space inside the cauldron, and began the pill refining process. Outside the window, Kai Di was sitting on a protruding branch, looking puzzled at the situation in the room. He wondered aloud, could it be that he wants to refine pills like those self-proclaimed ancient martial sect people? Inside the room, Juyu happily announced to Wu Chen, "It's almost done." The boy looked at him with adoring eyes. Juyu gently waved his hand, and from inside the cauldron, a billowing cloud of black smoke rose up. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the space. While Juyu remained calm, the pill-refining cauldron shattered into pieces, smoke and flames bursting everywhere. The explosion startled Wu Chen, who was surrounded by dust and sparks. He shouted to Juyu, "Master, it exploded again." Outside, Kai Di stood on the high branch, coldly observing the situation in the room. He smirked slightly and said, "It seems I don't need to intervene to investigate anymore." Then, he gently jumped down to the ground, hands in his pockets, turned his back and walked away, simultaneously concluding, "The lady is looking for a useless person." In the room, the dust gradually cleared. Juyu stood there calmly brushing off his shoulders, while Wu Chen still trembled, sitting on the floor. Juyu looked at the blue and yellow pills in his hand and nodded slightly. 2 beauty pills, 2 restoration pills, not bad, not a waste of medicinal materials. He glanced at the remnants of the cauldron and sighed softly, "It's a pity that the cauldron is too old. The exquisite cauldrons of the past have been exposed to the rain for too long, if I had known, I should have kept one." At the same time, Kai Di had returned to Yi Tianming's room to report. He sneered and said to Yi Tianming, who was sitting at work, "The lady is inviting a useless person. He only knows how to refine worthless pills and even blew up the living room." Yi Tianming coldly nodded, his eyes filled with anger, "If that's the case, then drive him away." The next day, at the large villa of the Yi family, Yi Bing had just woken up. She raised her hand to cover her mouth as she yawned, her eyes still hazy. Yi Tianming approached from a distance. Smiling lightly, she announced, "Bing and Grandpa is calling for you to come over." Yi Bing was a bit surprised but had no doubts. She nodded, "Now. Wait for me to change first." She quickly changed into her usual uniform, pulling on her shoes. Before leaving, she turned to say goodbye to Yi Tianming, who was sitting on the sofa. "Brother, my 2 guests will be here soon, please entertain them when they wake up." Yi Tianming nodded, "Got it." Yi Bing closed the door behind her, leaving Yi Tianming sitting still on the sofa. Kai Di appeared behind Yi Tianming, reminding him, "Lady knows you sent those 2 away, she will probably make a fuss, right?" Yi Tianming was not very concerned. He picked up his phone to check the competition list and casually said, "It doesn't matter. This tournament's participant list cannot be wasted on those con artists." Kai-D smiled smugly, understood. Meanwhile, Juyu was sitting cross-legged on the roof of the villa practicing. He opened his eyes, sensing the spiritual energy in the world, and frowned slightly. The spiritual energy is much less than before. What is happening? Inside the room, Wu Chen was doing push-ups, drenched in sweat. Juyu suddenly appeared in front of him. Wu Chen stopped, stood up to wipe the sweat off his forehead, and asked, "Master, where have you been?" Juyu replied briefly, "Cultivating." Wu Chen's eyes lit up, excitedly asking, "Master, when will you teach me to cultivate?" Juyu hesitated slightly, changing the subject, "Come on, Wu Chen, let's go somewhere." Wu Chen immediately summoned the storm hammer. The two of them stepped out of the room together. After walking a few steps, a fragrant smell wafted towards them, causing both to stop. At the dining table near the window, delicious breakfast dishes were still steaming. Yi Tianming and Kai-D were sitting there enjoying their meal. Wu Chen looked at the food with longing eyes. Juyu greeted, "Good morning." But Yi Tianming acted as if he didn't see them and continued to drink tea. Wu Chen ran to the table, intending to grab some bread. But a pair of chopsticks flew from the other side, aiming to hit his hand. Juyu quickly stopped it, casually saying, "I'm sorry, let me get you another pair." Yi Tianming coldly said, "It seems I haven't said that there isn't any food for you two here." Juyu didn't argue, turned to Wu Chen, and said, "Wu Chen, they don't want us to eat, so let's just leave it to them." Wu Chen nodded sadly, spitting out the piece of bread he had in his mouth. Yi Tianming looked at the bread soaked with saliva and nearly spat out his tea. Juyu arrogantly turned around, "Let's go, Wu Chen, it seems we are not welcome here." Kai-D was so angered by Juyu's disdainful attitude that his fists trembled, his eyes glaring as he watched the two of them leisurely walk out of the room. Unable to contain himself any longer, he slammed his hand on the table and stood up, roaring in anger, "I will go kill them." Yi Tianming immediately spoke in a deep voice to stop him, "Wait a moment." Outside, Juyu and Wu Chen had left the villa. Wu Chen was still puzzled by his master's attitude and looked up to ask, "Master, they bullied you, why didn't you teach them a lesson?" Juyu comfortably stretched, looking down from above, and smiled as he explained, "Wu Chen, remember, those who do not threaten me do not deserve my attention. Unless..." Wu Chen jumped up, sitting proudly on Juyu's shoulder, and asked affectionately, "Unless what?" Juyu merely smiled, finishing the sentence, "Unless I am unhappy." Hearing this, Wu Chen frowned, puffed out his cheeks, and said, "Wu Chen doesn't understand. Never mind, it's up to the master. Where are we going now?" Juyu looked up at the deep blue sky and replied, "To find my fly sword." As the two of them walked and chatted, Wu Chen asked, "What about Sister Yibing?" Juyu calmly answered, "I will explain it to her later." In the villa, Kai-D was still angrily questioning Yi Tianming, "Why didn't you kill them?" Yi Tianming did not rush to answer. He quietly took Wu Chen's saliva-stained plate of bread and threw both the plate and bread into the trash. Then he casually turned back, crossed his legs, and reassured Kai-D, "Don't be impatient, we have more important matters to attend to right now." Kai-D nodded and asked, "Have you made a choice for ladies' external list?" Yi Tianming took a sip of tea and asked back, "Have you heard of the Sho Xi organization?" Kai-D frowned, slowly recalling, "I've heard rumors that their main goal is to collect spirit stones. The organization has 10 members, all of whom are extremely powerful superpower wielders." Yi Tianming nodded, "That's right, the weakest among them is also a level 3 superpower wielder." Kai-D asked cautiously, "Are you suggesting we invite them to help us in the battle?" Yi Tianming confirmed, "Exactly. This organization is unlike other superpowered forces. They are only interested in spirit stones and do not participate in friendly tournaments. If we can invite them to help us, Yi family could achieve a high ranking." Kai-D was still worried, "But I heard this organization is very mysterious and hard to find." Yi Tianming confidently replied, "Don't worry, I have contacted one of them, and when the time comes, we will go meet them together." Meanwhile, Juyu and Wu Chen stood in front of a large gate. A red advertising banner hung above it, "Unparalleled Sword Rooster, Headquarters of Fried Chicken." The spiritual item was a chibi golden chicken, wearing a red cloak and holding a sword raised high. Wu Chen innocently pointed at the chicken and asked, "Master, is this the fly sword of yours?" Yi Juyu shook his head, "Fool, of course not." Wu Chen sighed and asked, "Then why did you bring it here?" Yi Juyu looked around and explained, "Qianlu Pedestrian Street, over 500 years ago, this was the sect Wu Jian founded by me, but according to my speculation, they are no longer here." Wu Chen helplessly said, "Isn't it obvious?" Then suddenly remembering, the kid exclaimed, "Wait. Aren't you the master of Juyu Temple?" Yi Juyu replied calmly. "Juyu Temple is just one of the many sects I founded." Wu Chen immediately changed his attitude, excitedly asking, "So where are they all now?" Yi Juyu replied slowly, "It's been many years, I don't know where they went, we'll just have to look for them gradually." He stood in the bustling street, feeling lost amidst the vibrant scenery. Looking around, everything had changed so much that it reminded him of his old friends from years ago. "I wonder how they are now, are Yu Luo and Jiao Jiao still alive?" While he was deep in thought, suddenly a girl with high blonde hair approached, cheerfully inviting, "Dear guests, our shop has just launched a new flavor of fried chicken, please come and try it." The two of them simultaneously looked at the girl standing in front of the unparalleled sword rooster shop, dressed in an outfit similar to that of a maid, holding a plate of fragrant fried chicken, continuing to entice, "Please give it a try." She winked and introduced, "Currently, we have a buy one get one free promotion, for only 20 yuan, you can get 2 large portions of fried chicken." Yi Juyu, upon hearing this, felt as if struck by lightning, snapping out of his craving. He quietly asked Wu Chen, "Do you have any money?" The kid shook his head, crossing his arms to indicate he had no money at all. Yi Juyu rubbed his forehead and sighed, thinking to himself, "It seems I have to find a way to make some money." Without hesitation, he grabbed Wu Chen by the neck and pulled him along, ignoring the kid's protests and the surprised gaze of the chicken seller. The two of them walked down the road, watching couples happily enjoying their food. Finally, Yi Juyu couldn't help but call out to Wu Chen, who was walking ahead. He looked at the hammer on the kid's back and bluntly asked, "That hammer of yours must be worth quite a bit, right?" Wu Chen immediately understood his intention, hugging the hammer tightly and replied cautiously, "No way, this is mine, I won't sell it." Yi Juyu didn't push, his eyes scanning for ways to make money. Suddenly, he spotted an old man selling antiques, and an idea flashed in his mind. He clapped his hands and exclaimed, "Got it." A worn wooden sign with the words "Selling top-quality pills" quickly appeared. The two of them sat by the roadside, in front of them were several pills they had just refined the day before. Wu Chen asked doubtfully, "Master, do you think anyone will buy them?" Yi Juyu confidently replied, "Years ago, my pills were famous throughout the cultivating immortals world, and all the sects were competing to buy them. But times have changed." An hour passed. Wu Chen yawned repeatedly. 3 hours later, the kid had dozed off. 5 hours later, Yi Juyu also took the opportunity to meditate. An old man selling antiques passed by and advised, "Kid, no one is going to buy your scam products." Yi Juyu frowned, "This is not a scam." The old man shook his head and walked away. While Wu Chen was drawing circles on the ground out of boredom, a gentle voice suddenly rang out, "Excuse me." A pretty girl named Yi Xianai appeared, politely asking, "Can I take a look at the pills you two have?" Yi Juyu happily presented a beauty pill, introducing, "This is a beauty pill, which helps maintain a golden appearance for 10 years. Yi Xianai picked it up to examine it, astonished by the dense spiritual energy in the pill. She suggested, "You two should follow me, I know a place where this pill can be sold." Meanwhile, at Yi Tianli's house in the forest, Yi Bing had just returned and called out loudly, "Grandpa." Yi Tianli came out of the house, cheerfully asking, "Bing and I, you're back. Has the expert I mentioned been invited yet?" Yi Bing recounted, "I couldn't invite the old monk, but there is someone called a master currently at our house." Yi Tianli was taken aback. "Master of Wu Yuan. Hurry and take him to meet him, he is a true cultivator." Yi Bing was also surprised and curiously asked him, "Cultivator? Grandpa, are there really cultivators in this world? Didn't everyone say that the ancient martial sects cannot compete with the superpowered forces, and that cultivators are all frauds?" Yi Tianli gradually regained his composure, resting his hands on the armrest to steady himself after feeling dizzy from standing up too quickly. He calmly explained to Yi Bing, the ancient martial sects you mentioned are actually the sects cultivating immortals from ancient times. They are very mysterious. However, I have met true cultivators, they are not frauds. You should quickly take me to meet that master. Yi Bing gently approached, supporting her grandfather's arm, reassuring him, don't worry, grandpa, they are at our home. Meanwhile, Juyu had followed Yi Shi and I to a large gate with an ancient style. Above, the sign, Starry Sky Trading Market, shone magnificently. Yi Shi and I walked ahead and turned back to explain, this is the largest strange item trading market in Heng City. Juyu tilted his head slightly and repeated, strange item. Images of bizarre things like skulls flashed through his mind. Vacuum toys, talismans, and buffalo skulls with massive horns. Yi Shi and I seemed to guess his thoughts and hurriedly explained. Simply put, this is a place to trade items that ordinary people cannot possess. Most of the items here are related to superpower wielders. The two walked along the wide paved road, flanked by buildings with ancient architecture. Yi Shi and I glanced at Juyu, skeptical. But I see you don't look like a superpower wielder. He smiled slightly in response. I am just like you. Yi Shi and I was surprised, covering her mouth as she asked again. Could it be that you are also a cultivator? She chuckled softly, thinking to herself. It seems I have met a senior. I must seize this opportunity, if I can learn a few powerful spells, that would be amazing. Juyu turned to look at Yi Shi and I, who was happily following behind, her face radiant like a blooming flower. Wu Chen walked beside him, looking up at him with a puzzled expression. Yi Shi and I suddenly noticed the hammer on Wu Chen's back and pointed, asking. Senior, is this a superpower weapon? Juyu nodded in confirmation. That's right. Yi Shi and I gently reminded. In this market, the crowd is mixed, and there are many superpower wielders. The best superpower weapon should be put away, lest others notice it. Juyu found the advice reasonable and took out the storage bag, smiling at Wu Chen. Wu Chen, give me the hammer, and I will store it for you. Yi Shi's eyes lit up in surprise, exclaiming, Senior, you have a storage bag too? My master said this is a treasure only powerful cultivators possess. Wu Chen obediently handed the hammer to Juyu, but his face still showed a hint of regret, but I want to wear it. Yi Shi and I gently explained from the side, don't you both know that a super weapon can be stored in a cocoon bag? Both teacher and student looked at her in surprise, their eyes filled with questions. Yi Shi and I sat down and took the hammer from Wu Chen's hands. She placed her hand on the hammer's nose, and a wave of energy spread from where she touched it throughout the hammer. In an instant, the hammer shrank down to the size of a large battery. Wu Chen's eyes sparkled as he exclaimed, so cool. Yi Shi and I handed the transformed hammer back to Wu Chen, instructing, when using it, just press firmly on the cocoon bag. Juyu looked at the shrunken hammer in Wu Chen's hand, feeling a sense of amazement. 500 years have passed, and everything has changed so much. Yi Shi and I led the two of them to the front of a tall building. The exterior door was built with two curved roofs, mimicking the architectural style of ancient city gates. Yi Shi and I then introduced to them, Senior, this is the largest trading market in Heng City. Your pills can be sold here. In front of the gate, a long table was set up to welcome guests. Behind the table, a man was lying back on a chair, engrossed in his phone. While Yi Shi and I was enthusiastically encouraging Juyu about how his pills could be sold for a high price, a gruff voice suddenly interrupted the conversation. Wait a minute. The man who had been lying back was now sitting up, blocking the entrance, his eyes still glued to his phone, and asked in a domineering manner, what are you doing? Yi Shi and I paid little attention to the guy's attitude, maintaining a polite and calm demeanor as she replied, we would like to participate in the auction, could you please guide us? The young man glanced at her, suspiciously repeating, you want to sell something? Yi Shi and I remained calm in front of Juyu and explained, yes, we have a few pills we want to sell. The young man looked at her and suspiciously asked again, pills, then broke into a not-so-friendly smile. Request, let me see it first. Our place is a high-end auction house, not just any trash can be sold here. Yi Shi and I detected the contempt in his words and immediately frowned, asking, why do you say that? The young man extended his hand towards her, firmly repeating, if you don't show me the item, I won't let you in. That's the rule here. Although angered by his dismissive attitude, Ishi and I patiently presented a beauty pill. The young man took the pill and silently assessed it, but soon after, he disdainfully flicked it away, exclaiming, "What nonsense is this?" That outrageous action infuriated Ishi and I. She spoke in a low voice, Juyu, standing behind, remained motionless, simply reaching out to catch the pill that had been flicked away. He twirled it in his fingers and commented with a tone of contempt, "Indeed, you don't know how to appreciate quality." The young man immediately became furious, shouting, "What did you say?" Juyu ignored him, glancing back. A luxury car stopped in front of the auction house. A man dressed in traditional attire with long hair neatly tied back, wearing rimless glasses, held a white fan and waved it lightly, exuding an elegant and refined aura. That is Chen Kai-chi, the young master of the Chen family. Chen Kai-chi looked at the tense situation between Ishi and I and the young man, frowning as he asked, "What's going on?" The young man quickly snitched, "Kai brother, you came at the right time, these people want to auction a pill." Hearing this, Chen Kai-chi scolded, "How many times has Chen Chiu taught you? Guests must be treated properly." Then he turned to Ishi and I, smiling, "I'm sorry, my subordinate doesn't understand, please come in with me." Chen Chiu still wouldn't give up, whispering to Chen Kai-chi, "But Kai brother, they are clearly scammers." Chen Kai-chi said nothing, just raised his hand to signal him to stop. Chen Chiu, dissatisfied, kept his eyes on Ishi's group as they followed Chen Kai-chi inside. Suddenly, Ishi and I turned around and stuck out her tongue to annoy him. Chen Chiu was angry but had to let it go. Inside the auction hall, Ishi and I, Juyu, and Wu Chen were invited by Chen Kai-chi to sit on the sofa in the waiting area. "This is our reception area, you can rest here," he maintained his polite smile, fanning himself and speaking courteously. "A specialist will come shortly to assist you with the auction items. I still have things to attend to, so I beg your pardon for not staying any longer, please feel free to continue." When he was about to leave, Ishi and I suddenly called out, "CEO Chen, please wait a moment." Chen Kai-chi looked at her and smiled politely, "Is there something else you need, miss?" Ishi and I raised her eyes to him and made a suggestion, "We are auctioning this beauty pill, would you like to take a look? You might need it too." Chen Kai-chi asked with interest, "Do you too want to sell it to me directly?" Ishi and I held out the beauty pill, "Just take a look first." Chen Kai-chi examined the pill closely. Ishi and I intended to introduce its effects, but he quickly interrupted, "No need, the scent is quite pleasant, but I don't need this pill for now." He handed the pill back and encouraged, "My staff will come by later to take care of you. Once it's on the auction, anyone who needs it will surely buy it." With that, he decisively left, ignoring Ishi and I calling after him, "CEO Chen." Ishi and I helplessly sat back on the sofa, explaining to Juyu, "Senior, there are very few cultivators now, and not many understand pills. I'm afraid it won't be easy to sell at auction." After a moment of silence, the girl's gaze shifted towards Juyu, who was sitting cross-legged in a 5-character style beside her. She gently encouraged him, "If the benefits you mentioned are true, I am sure many people would be willing to buy it." But right after that, she suddenly felt a headache, resting her chin on her hand and sighing with frustration, "But how can we make people believe in its real effectiveness?" Juyu nodded in agreement, rubbing his chin in thought alongside her, "You're right, let me think about it." Just then, a middle-aged female employee dressed in a jade green cheongsam walked in, politely greeting them, "Hello, everyone. Do you have any items you would like to sell?" Seeing this woman, Juyu suddenly felt delighted, an idea flashing in his mind, "I have a way." At the same time, in another room, Chen Kai-chi entered with a cheerful expression, greeting the person sitting in the room, "Yi brother, you finally made it. I've invited you so many times, and now it's finally successful." In the room, Yi Tianming was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, leisurely sipping tea. Beside him was Kai Di, who was always alert, looking outside. On the tea table in front of them was a complete tea set. Yi Tianming smiled in response. "Chen brother was just joking, how could I possibly miss your auction?" Chen Kai-chi sat down on the opposite sofa, smiling warmly, "You see, it's still the auction that invited you here. We should really meet more often." Yi Tianming didn't want to prolong the conversation and quickly got to the point, "The friendly tournament is about to start, everyone is busy, who has time to gather? Chen brother should tell me what's special about this auction. Chen Kai-chi poured himself a cup of tea, skillfully dodging the question. This time there are many good items. As for the specifics, Yi brother will have to wait for the auction to start and see for yourself. Yi Tianming was not easily dismissed. He lifted his cup of tea and asked directly, I heard there's a spirit stone. Chen Kai-chi took a sip of tea and replied candidly, Yi brother's intelligence is truly impressive, I won't hide it from you, there is indeed one piece. Yi Tianming looked at Chen Kai-chi with a polite gaze, the trade connections of Chen brother really make me admire you. Finally, he received the confirmation he needed. Yi Tianming stood up to say goodbye, the auction is about to start, I'm heading to the hall now. Chen Kai-chi did not stop him and cheerfully replied, look at you in such a hurry. All right then. After that, he clapped his hands to call someone from outside and ordered, someone, lead Yi brother to the hall. The person called was a pretty staff member, dressed in a fitted office dress. She smiled politely and said, please follow me, gentlemen. The two followed her out of the room. As they reached the door, Kai Di whispered to Yi Tianming, young master, you go ahead, I need to use the restroom. Yi Tianming, without suspicion, nodded, go ahead. Chen Kai-chi remained in the room waiting. When he heard a knock on the door, he said, come in. The person who entered was Kai Di. He knelt on one knee and saluted, subordinate pays respect to young master. Chen Kai-chi accepted the salute and ordered, sit down. He lifted his teacup and asked, what's going on? Speak up, what is Yi Tianming planning recently? Kai Di did not hide anything, recounting Yi Tianming's plan. He wants to invite people from Sho Xi to assist the Yi family in participating in the friendly tournament. Chen Kai-chi was not surprised and calmly sipped his tea. Sho Xi, I see. The auction hall was a vast space, lavishly decorated with bright lights and a giant screen on the high platform. The neatly arranged rows of seats indicated the large scale of the event. Wu Chen couldn't help but exclaim, wow, this place is amazing. Yi Juyu, Yi Shi-ni, and Wu Chen were sitting in the audience seats. Yi Shi-ni excitedly introduced, Senior, this auction has a lot of great items, you can see if there's anything you want to buy. Wu Chen innocently chimed in, Sister, we don't have any money, even a fried chicken can't be bought by us. Yi Juyu didn't hold back, lightly tapping Wu Chen's head, you've said too much already. This action made Yi Shi-ni cover her mouth to suppress a laugh. In the front row, when Kai Di turned to Yi Tianming, a pair of legs in blue high heels also appeared on the auction stage. The host who just appeared was an auctioneer named La Hen. She was a beautiful woman, dressed in an elegantly designed blue evening gown. Under the dazzling lights, she raised her hand to warmly greet all the guests present in the auction hall, greetings, everyone, welcome to our Starry Sky auction house. Two familiar figures entered, the third officer of the Iron Armor Gang, the Green Spider Yang Yi, and the fourth officer, the heavyweight La Bao. They chose a seat at the back of the auction. Yang Yi heard rumors that a spirit stone was going to be auctioned this time, so she brought La Bao along to see if they could steal it. If they couldn't retrieve the storm hammer, their boss would definitely not forgive them. La Bao, with his arms still in a cast, said to Yang Yi, you've seen his strength for yourself. He's completely helpless. I hope you can say a few words to the boss on my behalf. Yang Yi nodded, but your identity needs to be clarified quickly. La Bao scratched his head, still shuddering at the thought, he really is a monster. Right now, the spirit stone for teleportation is already in his hands, so using force to steal the storm hammer is out of the question. Yang Yi thought for a moment, a teleportation spirit stone, with such power, will surely attract attention quickly. The host interrupted, I hereby announce that the 87th Starry Sky auction house officially begins. Yang Yi turned to La Bao, alright, stop thinking about it, let's participate in the auction first. The young master Chen Kai-chi approached his brother Yi Bing, Yi Tianming, I must say, it's bold to auction this spirit stone. Perhaps only brother Chen from Hang City would dare to do this. Chen Kai-chi opened the fan in his hand, displaying a refined demeanor. Yi brother is joking, it's just a purple spirit stone, nothing that can't be sacrificed. Over the past few years, the frequency of star beast appearances has been increasing, and I believe that spirit stones will become more abundant in the future. He then leaned in and whispered to Yi Tianming, your Yi family also has quite a few treasures hidden away, right? After saying this, he smiled and returned to his seat, as if he intended to eye the treasures of the Yi family. La Hen began with the first auction item, the beauty pill. She held a vial in her hand, containing 2 pills from Yi Juyu. Yi Tianming scoffed, "Chen young master, is your high-end auction really selling this kind of scam?" Chen Kai-chi was not angry, "It's just an appetizer." "Yi young master, don't rush, there are better items behind this one." Shi Ni said to Yi Juyu, "I've heard that the auction will have better items as it goes on. They consider our pills to be the least valuable already." He didn't mind because soon they would regret it. Yang Yi, sitting behind, looked disdainful. La Hen read the introduction of the pill. The effect of the beauty pill can help a person instantly restore their golden appearance and maintain it for 10 years. Yi Tianming laughed loudly and said to Chen Kai-chi, "Your auction house is getting worse, starting to talk nonsense again." Chen Kai-chi waved his hand to call someone over, instructing his subordinate to tell La Hen to stop. La Hen, standing on stage, also wondered if this introduction was incorrect. A female staff member came to her and whispered in her ear, and then Chen Kai-chi's subordinate came to inform her. Soon after, La Hen continued the auction. It was also her first time seeing this pill, and she thought everyone would surely doubt the miraculous effects being advertised. Her boss, CEO Chen, was also worried that this would deceive people, so he had requested to stop the auction of this item. An impatient audience member shouted, "What more do you have to say? Hurry up and bring out the next item. This is clearly a scam." La Hen raised the pill jar and continued, "However, we received a message from the mysterious seller, who agreed to use one pill to demonstrate its effects for everyone." Chen Kai-chi mouthed to La Hen, "What's going on?" Then, a middle-aged woman stepped onto the stage. La Hen handed her a pill in front of the entire audience. The woman swallowed the pill. In an instant, her wrinkled skin became smooth and firm. When she opened her eyes again, she had returned to her 20s. The entire hall, including Yi Tianming, Chen Kai-chi, Yang Yi, and La Bao, was astonished. Does such a thing really exist in this world? La Hen was no exception. Could this be real? The woman who had just tried it looked at herself in the mirror, almost moved to tears. Shi Ni glanced at the man sitting next to her, looking lazy. Although she had anticipated it, seeing the effect with her own eyes was still surprising. La Hen continued with his work, beauty pill, incredibly effective, starting price 500,000. Immediately, Yi Tianming raised the price to 1 million. An old man held up a sign for 1.2 million. Yang Yi, excited, exclaimed, "Is there really such a powerful pill?" She had to join this bidding war, 2 million. Others couldn't let this bargain slip away. The price of the pill continues to rise to 2.5 million. The young master of the Yi family raised the price again, 3 million. Chen Kai-chi looked up at the stage, where the pill was being fought over by the entire hall. This effect is truly astonishing. Just now, when I saw that girl present the pill, he should have bought it immediately. Now it's too late to regret. Chen Kai-chi suddenly remembered the seller, and looked around to search for him, seeing that he was still standing there. When he realized that both Yang Yi and Yi Tianming were participating in the auction, he felt somewhat more at ease. Yang Yi was determined not to give up, raising the price to 4 million. Yi Tianming also refused to back down, continuing to push the price up to 5 million. Chen Kai-chi observed Yi Tianming competing for the item on the auction floor. If he snatched the pill right now, it would be too obvious, so he decided to wait until the auction was over before asking if they had any other pills. After that, he discreetly took out his phone to send a message. He thought of a way to keep the seller engaged, and he must wait until the auction ended before approaching them. On the display screen, the pill was priced at 5 million, with the purchase code 002. The host shouted, 5 million once, 5 million twice. Yang Yi angrily felt that Yi Tianming was really annoying for competing with her. 5 million 3 times, sold. The gavel struck down, the buyer was confirmed. Congratulations, Yi brother. Yi Tianming asked Chen Kai-chi about the origin of the pill. Although the auction house kept customer information confidential, Yi Tianming spoke up. He could respond, I accidentally obtained this pill, it wasn't brought by any customer. Yi Tianming looked at him with a sneer, thinking to himself, what a seasoned player. At this time, Yi Bing and her grandfather had returned home. She helped him sit down on the chair and told him to rest for a while in the living room. Then she went to call Yi Juyu and Wu Chen. She asked the servant if her two guests had had breakfast, but the servant replied, "They have already left." "Why have they left? Where did they go?" The servant hesitated to speak. Yi Bing was anxious to know. The servant bowed his head and recounted, "It was the young master. I saw the young master was uncomfortable with them and ordered them to leave." Yi Bing couldn't believe it. How could this happen? The auction continued. The second item was the red lotus ice heart flower. This flower has a powerful detoxifying effect and is regarded as a superb elixir, with a starting price of 200,000. This flower resembles a lotus, with pink outer petals but a heart that blooms with ice, hence the name red lotus ice heart flower. This item caught the attention of Yi Juyu. She and I said, "If you want to buy this flower, you can use the 5 million from the pill that was just sold. Because all transactions will be settled after the auction ends." Yi Juyu immediately bid 1 million. She and I couldn't stop him and could only shake her head and sigh, "That's just the master's style." Everyone turned to see who had placed such a high bid, including La Bao. She and I lamented, "You don't need to raise the bid that much, just an increase of 100,000 would be enough. This flower doesn't have many buyers. But this is a third-grade spiritual herb, and he believed it was worth that price." La Bao noticed Yi Juyu and became tense, reporting to Yang Yi, who also turned to look. After verifying the information, Yang Yi instructed La Bao to inform their boss and the people from Jin Sho Xi, saying there was no need to search, they had come to them. This time, she would definitely catch him. La Bao followed the order, pulled out his phone, and tried to call Jin Sho Xi's group but couldn't get through. Yang Yi found him really foolish and told them to monitor Yi Juyu first, wait until the auction was over, then spread the news that a teleporting spirit stone had appeared in Hang City. The people from Jin Sho Xi are always madly pursuing spirit stones, they will definitely not miss this opportunity. La Hen shouted, 1 million times 3, finalized. Congratulations to this gentleman for purchasing the red lotus ice heart flower. Yi Juyu felt very satisfied when he saw that no one was robbing him. She and I muttered, "You raised the price to 1 million, it's strange that no one is robbing you." She advised him to save money, as refining pills was certainly not easy. Yi Juyu thought about the process of refining pills, which was indeed very difficult, and it even caused his old pill furnace to explode. She and I agreed, "Therefore, you must use your savings, that spiritual herb can be bought for just 500,000. Yi Tianming noticed that Yi Juyu was also here, but why was he here? He asked Chen Kai-chi if he was a friend of his, but Chen Kai-chi confirmed that he did not know them. Yi Tianming naturally asked that, could it be that he knew that person? Yet Yi Tianming said that Yi Juyu was a fraud from the ancient martial sect. Chen Kai-chi secretly scoffed in his heart and said, "It seems that the auction needs to strengthen its screening of participants in the future." But in his mind, he cursed Yi Tianming's ignorance countless times. The person he called a fraud was actually the great elder of refining pills who had just produced the pill he had bought. Yi Tianming suddenly remembered that the pill earlier was not Yi Juyu's, right? But it couldn't be. Kai Di said that Yi Juyu's refining had even blown up the room. It can't be you. The auction continued, with most items related to superpowers. After purchasing the red lotus ice heart flower, Yi Juyu did not buy any more items. La Hen brought out the final item, pulling back the curtain. It was indeed the purple spirit stone. Inside the display case was a diamond-shaped spirit stone. Yang Yi had been waiting for it for a long time, and now it had finally appeared. Yi Juyu was becoming increasingly suspicious of it. According to La Hen's introduction, the purple spirit stone could be crafted into a superpower weapon. After a simple test, the energy within this spirit stone was still very abundant, with a starting price of 20 million. This figure felt like a mountain pressing down on Yi Juyu. He did not expect it to be so expensive and quickly retracted his hand from the bidding paddle. At this moment, she and I began to explain some knowledge about spirit stones to Yi Juyu. The market value of the purple spirit stone ranges from 30 to 50 million. Although there are differences in quality, there is no clear classification. The ability to craft it into a weapon largely depends on the skill of the craftsman. If it is refined into an S-grade superpower weapon, its value could increase several times. Meanwhile, the D-grade superpower weapon, although the weakest, still holds a higher value compared to the raw purple spirit stone. Yi Juyu's gaze revealed ill intentions as he looked at the hammer that Wu Chen was holding. The boy sensed this and instinctively turned to hide his belongings. The crowd was scrambling for the spirit stone. Yang Yi raised the bid to 25 million, and others continued to push it up to 30 million. Yi Tianming, with his big spending style, shouted a bid of 50 million. Yang Yi was furious, glaring at Yi young master like a puffed-up hedgehog, who had continuously snatched away her opportunities. On stage, La Hen spoke up to the auctioneer, 50 million. This gentleman has bid 50 million, is there anyone who wants to bid higher? La Bao was anxious, not knowing what to do. Yang Yi also had no choice but to give up since going beyond 50 million would yield no profit. However, this auction was not entirely in vain as they had found someone whom their boss would be very pleased with. With no one left to compete, La Hen closed the bid at 50 million and announced, "Congratulations to Mr. Yi for purchasing the spirit stone." At the end of the auction, the staff handed Yi Juyu a check. "Your pills sold for 5 million. After deducting a 3% selling fee and 1 million for purchasing the red lotus ice heart flower, you are left with a total of 3.75 million. The staff invited you to check and receive the red lotus ice heart flower you purchased." Yi Juyu, inexperienced in life, did not know what a check was. He asked Shi Ni, "Is the money all in here?" Shi Ni smiled and confirmed, saying that he could take this check to the bank to withdraw the money. Yi Juyu did not know what a bank was, but fortunately, Shi Ni was there to guide him. Meanwhile, the staff held him back because someone wanted to see him. The door to the room opened, and the person who entered was none other than La Hen, the host of the auction earlier. She introduced herself and asked if Yi Juyu had any other pills. Shi Ni thought that La Hen wanted to buy the beauty pill, a pill that could maintain the most beautiful appearance for 10 years, which would surely captivate any woman. However, the beauty pill was sold out. La Hen believed that they still had other pills and, if possible, she wanted to collaborate. Shi Ni appeared sulky because they had previously refused to sell. La Hen explained that she was not representing the auction house, but rather she was an individual who wanted to collaborate. She handed Yi Juyu a business card and said that she could help him sell pills for the highest price. Yi Juyu took the card and read through the information. This girl seems ordinary, has no bad intentions, and is a good person. He happily agreed to let La Hen become his personal manager. Shi Ni wanted to stop this, but Yi Juyu had decided to trust La Hen. At that moment, Chen Kai-chi walked in, still holding the hidden fan. As soon as he saw La Hen, he appeared displeased but still greeted Yi Juyu and Shi Ni. He asked if they still had pills, but Shi Ni turned away and said that they were out of stock. Chen Kai-chi reached out and grabbed Shi Ni's shoulder, making her unhappy. He suggested a collaboration, but Shi Ni refused. La Hen stepped forward and said that if Chen Kai-chi wanted to buy pills, he should talk to her. Chen Kai-chi showed his displeasure and threatened La Hen with a sensitive video. He pushed La Hen to the ground and called in 4 bodyguards to surround Yi Juyu and Shi Ni. Chen Kai-chi sat in a chair, holding the fan, and asked in a threatening tone, "Can you two discuss business now?" He forced them to choose between cooperating with him or with La Hen. Shi Ni was worried about how to handle this situation, but Yi Juyu was extremely annoyed. He moved closer to La Hen. Earlier, she had agreed to be his manager, so from now on, no one had the right to bully her. He reached out to help La Hen stand up, tears streaming down her face. For some reason, at that moment, she felt a strange sense of reassurance, something she had never experienced before. As he ignored his presence, a bodyguard approached from behind, intending to attack. But when his hand touched Yi Juyu's collar, it suddenly stiffened. He screamed in agony, his eyes rolling back in pain. Inside the arm that no one could see, all the joints were shattered. Chen Kai-chi was surprised. Could this be the ability to enhance flesh and skin? Then, 2 others rushed into attack, but Shi Ni and Wu Chen blocked them. Shi Ni used the cloud palm technique to knock one away. Wu Chen used the Wu Chen pounding mace to strike the leg of the remaining one, creating a whirlwind that sent them spinning several times before they collapsed on the ground. Watching his 4 men being defeated, Chen young master couldn't sit still. Chen Kai-chi angrily closed the fan, believing their choice was foolish. Another person named Zhao Hu, a level 2 superpower wielder, seemed more formidable than the previous ones. Chen Kai-chi ordered the assassination of Yi Juyu, instructed to keep the two girls, and had no intention of letting Wu Chen go, deciding to kill him as well. Zhao Hu complied with the directive. Outside, La Bao and Yang Yi were waiting. La Bao was quite confident, but Yang Yi couldn't get in touch with their leader, so they could only follow Yi Juyu for now. La Bao had spread the news, hoping to attract some people. The more chaotic Hang City became, the more opportunities they had. In the auction house, Zhao Hu saw Wu Chen holding a superpower weapon and decided to deal with the boy first. As he charged, Wu Chen used his pounding mace to defend. A tiger's paw emerged from the hand of the superpower wielder, his body resembling a predator tiger, with sharp claws and piercing eyes. Chen Kai-chi smugly declared, Zhao Hu is a peak level 2 superpower wielder, your level D superpower weapons cannot defeat him. Zhao Hu's claws nearly grazed Wu Chen. The boy raised his hand to shield his eyes. But in that moment, everything seemed to stop. Wu Chen squinted and saw Zhao Hu turning his head back. Yi Juyu was holding his leg, throwing him through several walls, leaving him flattened on the ground. The next one to suffer was Chen Kai-chi. He hadn't reacted in time when Yi Juyu's hand was already in front of him. He immediately grabbed his head and slammed it down onto the ground to rearrange his facial bones. He had been at his peak for 500 years, how could this guy think he could reach that level? Yi Juyu took out his phone and asked Shi Ni, was that image just now a video? Shi Ni said it was a video and could be deleted, but she wasn't sure if it was saved elsewhere. He searched for the video, intending to delete it to ensure there was nothing left to threaten La Hen. But from behind him, a purple tail sprouted, aiming to attack the two girls. Yi Juyu noticed, grabbed the fuzzy tail, and pulled it back. Chen Kai-chi's body was lifted off the ground, and his face and limbs began to change. It turned out the tail had grown from within him. Another one sprouted from behind him, looking very strange, frightening Shi Ni. The two tails, like vines, attacked them, sucking flesh and blood. Shi Ni became the first target. Yi Juyu quickly caught her, avoiding danger. The place where Shi Ni had just stood was no longer in its original shape. Fortunately, he arrived in time, otherwise, Shi Ni's fate would have been like that of the floor. She asked him in panic, is that a superpower? Yi Juyu raised his hand in front of her, protecting Shi Ni, this is not a superpower. A stream of golden light formed in his hand. Chen Kai-chi was devoured, no longer in human form. One of his eyes was damaged, his tongue elongated like a lizard, and he shot a long tail towards Yi Juyu. He formed a pyramid shape with both hands, casting the heavenly locking seal. This technique was powerful, directly countering Chen Kai-chi's tail, piercing through and shattering it, causing a shockwave throughout the auction hall. Outside, Yang Yi and La Bao were gaping in astonishment. Yi Juyu, along with La Hen, Shi Ni, and Wu Chen, teleported outside. Young Master Chen was dead, and the crowd panicked, fleeing to report to the family master. Zhao Hu woke up after the earthquake, the sudden collapse left him stunned. When he discovered Chen Kai-chi lying motionless among the rubble, his body no longer intact, Zhao Hu was shaken to the core. He hurriedly reached out his trembling hand to check the man's breath. Not sensing any life, he was terrified and stepped back. Yi Juyu was still lost in his thoughts, the aura just now couldn't be wrong, it was exactly like 500 years ago. I need to verify this immediately. Zhao Hu shouted, you killed him. Do you know who he is? Zhao Hu's reaction made Yi Juyu even more suspicious, this person is definitely human, no doubt about it. So what was that aura just now? Zhao Hu transformed into a half-human, half-beast, and that image appeared in Yi Juyu's mind. Could it be the ability granted by the Spirit Stone? Then where did this come from? I need to clarify this. Zhao Hu completed his transformation and looked at Yi Juyu, a mere ordinary young man who had killed his young master, and he surely couldn't escape. He raised his claws to attack, but Yi Juyu simply slapped him away. Zhao Hu flew 8,000 miles away. His trajectory destroyed quite a few buildings, demonstrating just how terrifying the power of that slap was. Yang Yi and La Bao, witnessing this, were both horrified, unsure whether to continue watching or retreat immediately. After reaching a consensus, the two quickly fled. She and I turned back and discovered they had vanished. Juyu stepped forward to examine the corpse. He extended his hand, and a stream of purple gas rose up, the flesh transforming into purple spirit stones. They even had a semblance of consciousness, trying to escape, but Juyu used his magic to pull them back, almost within his grasp. But just as Juyu was about to seize them, they suddenly evaporated, disappearing without a trace. Looking at his empty hand, Juyu thought, indeed, that aura is exactly like the monster from 500 years ago. She and I reminded him to leave quickly. This person is the grand young master of the Chen family. His father, Chen Xiong, has great power and will definitely seek revenge on you. This was something Juyu had caused, and he would bear the consequences himself. In fact, they didn't need to follow him, this matter didn't concern them. She and I didn't like him saying that, aren't we from the same faction? La Hen, his manager, wouldn't run away. Wu Chen, innocent as well, would follow his master. In the sky, a flying sword glided by, with a young man sitting on it, seemingly a member of Xian Ming. Clearly, he sensed the aura, but now he saw nothing. He landed in the ruins just as Juyu and his companions were about to leave. He hurriedly called for them to stop. Juyu turned his head, unexpectedly discovering that he was a cultivator at the Foundation establishment realm. He carried a fly sword on his shoulder, one hand in his pocket, with a jade pendant at his waist, and asked, "Did you see any monsters earlier? Or has anything strange happened here?" She and I had just opened her mouth to say, earlier, when he interrupted her, "Let me guess, the houses in this area have collapsed and you must have witnessed some terrifying events, right? Then you were scared, but the monster ran away." Everyone was silent at this guy's actions, and no one had time to say anything. He noticed that She and I was also a cultivator at the 3rd level of Qi refining. She and I was at a loss for words with him, she hadn't been able to say a single word since he arrived. He smiled and apologized, introducing himself, "I am Lu Qingfeng, the head deacon of Xian Ming." She and I appeared very excited upon hearing this name. Juyu asked, "What is Xian Ming?" She and I then explained further, after the appearance of spirit stones, superpower wielders emerged, and the sects cultivating immortals have gradually decreased. Currently, most of the sects cultivating immortals have joined Xian Ming. However, Xian Ming is very mysterious, and very few people know where they are. I have only heard my grandfather mention it, but I have never actually met anyone from Xian Ming. Lu Qingfeng noticed that She and I was knowledgeable and suggested that she join Xian Ming. Upon receiving this proposal, Shini's eyes lit up. Could she really go to Xian Ming? Lu Qingfeng confidently affirmed, "Of course, Xian Ming welcomes all cultivators, everyone here can come." He examined each person. La Hen and the little monk showed no signs of spiritual energy fluctuations. Xian Ming only accepts those who have acceded to the sect to refine qi. His gaze shifted to Juyu. There are some spiritual energy fluctuations, but the realm is unclear, perhaps they have just acceded to the sect. But it was fine, as long as everyone was interested in cultivating immortals, they could come to him, and he would lead them to Xian Ming. None of the 4 could interrupt Lu Qingfeng's story. He talks too much. Just as he was about to say something else, his phone's ringtone rang. His ringtone was also peculiar, "Love you, single, go to the lonely shore, love you, strong and firm, not a ghost," a ringtone like no other. It was his senior sister calling. Lu Qingfeng answered the phone, "Hello, senior sister." The voice on the other end was not very friendly, loud enough to almost blow him away. "Lu Qingfeng, what are you doing? Haven't you reported in yet?" He spoke quietly, "Senior sister, I'm tracking a strange aura that appeared in Heng City." The senior sister continued to ask, "Have you caught it yet?" "I just arrived and am investigating." "Then forget it, no need to investigate further. Immediately head to Deming Mountain, strange activities have been detected there. Your senior sister is also on her way there." Lu Qingfeng immediately became serious, standing straight like he was at a flag-raising ceremony preparing to sing the national anthem. "I will set off immediately." The senior sister cautioned him carefully, "Don't casually involve people in Xian Ming, recruitment is not your responsibility." Lu Qingfeng intended to say more, but the call was already disconnected, leaving behind a cold disdain. He sighed, realizing that nothing could escape the notice of his senior sister. He had an important mission that needed his immediate attention. If anyone wants to join Xian Ming, give them this card and tell them to find him at Mist Lake Green Mountain. He tossed a card to Yi Juyu, which had a phone number written on it. Then he flew away on his sword, leaving Xian'ai watching him with longing eyes. When will she finally be able to own a fly sword of her own? Yi Juyu held the token in her hand, thinking about Xian Ming. Let's go check it out, maybe there will be a clue about the person we are looking for. Xian'ai was eager to head to Mist Lake Green Mountain immediately, but first she needed to find a quiet place to rest. Yi Juyu intended to refine some pills. La Hen suggested, everyone follow me, I know a very suitable place. She led them to a luxurious villa. In another room, the sound of a wine glass shattering echoed. A man knelt down to report to the master, while a girl sipped her wine. Chen Xiong, the father of Chen Kai-chi, received news of his son's death. His face was filled with rage. Who harmed my son? According to the report, the culprit was a member of the ancient martial sect. Chen Xiong gritted his teeth. Ancient martial sect. He was at the peak of anger and hatred. That was my son's life. Sho Xi and Shui Zhu noticed that the situation had changed. Cooperation with Chen Xiong could not continue. She gently picked up her umbrella and intended to leave, but Chen Xiong held her back, making a new proposal, 5 spirit stones. Under the condition that Sho Xi takes revenge for my child. Shui Zhu, who initially appeared to be an elegant lady, suddenly revealed a face like a demon. This deal is done. Chen Xiong wanted all of Sho Xi's people to act, but 5 spirit stones were only enough to invite 5 people. However, 5 people were sufficient. Her figure vanished behind the door. Chen Xiong sat with his face in his hands, crying, then ordered his subordinates, not only should Sho Xi act, spread the news offering a reward of 100 million for anyone who captures the murderer of my child. The subordinates immediately complied. As night fell, at the Sho Xi base, Shui Zhu returned to report to the boss. The boss of Sho Xi concealed himself in the form of a puppet, 5 purple spirit stones. It's worth making a trip, and I'll also grant him the ability to teleport. Shui Zhu was unsure who to take along. The puppet stood up and walked towards her. Luo Di and Kai Dui are downstairs, Wu De is on his way back, but we still lack one person, so the boss will go along. In another place, under a clear sky at the foot of a building, Fan Xian, La Hen's boyfriend, paced back and forth, making calls and checking his watch, but no one answered. Finally, he heard La Hen's voice. In front is my house. La Hen led Yi Juyu, Xian'ai, and Wu Chen to the apartment she bought herself. The apartment has a balcony, ideal for refining pills. Xian'ai admired La Hen, knowing that this area costs between 50,000 and 60,000 square meters. La Hen smiled lightly. 1 pill sells for 5 million, this house is just equivalent to 2 pills, and I had to work hard for 6 to 7 years to buy it. She noticed Fan Xian standing in front of the apartment waiting for her. Xian'ai saw La Hen's strange expression and asked about it. La Hen felt disappointed when she saw him. Before she could say anything, Fan Xian loudly scolded her, do you know how many calls I made? Why didn't you answer? La Hen coldly replied, not only today, but I also won't answer in the future. She walked past him, but Fan Xian grabbed her hand and asked, what do you mean? La Hen shook his hand off, that video was given to Chen Kai-chi by you. Don't pretend you don't know, only you could have recorded that kind of video and given it to someone else. She didn't want to see him again and demanded that he leave. Fan Xian mocked her pain, believing he was right for giving the video to Chen Kai-chi. He thought La Hen worked for Chen Young Master just to seduce him. La Hen pushed his hand away and gave him another slap. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Fan Xian, you are nothing but trash. He lost his dignity and was about to attack her, but received an even harder slap from Xian'ai, causing him to fall to the ground. Xian'ai grabbed his collar and pulled him up, intending to teach him a lesson, but La Hen intervened. In the end, they walked away. Yi Juyu sensed that Fan Xian might cause trouble, so he drew a small seal and attached it to his chest. Fan Xian held a grudge, saying, La Hen, just wait. At Yi Bing's house, Yi Tianming returned, carrying a gift bag. He intended to find his sister to show off his new gift but saw their grandfather sitting there. Yi Tianming greeted him. Yi Tianli nodded in response. Yi Bing was still sulking because he had chased her guest away. Yi Tianming thought he had done nothing wrong and sat down on the sofa to drink a glass of water. He did not trust them, believing that Yi Juyu was just a fraud. Yi Bing countered, he is the cultivator that Grandpa told me to invite. Yi Tianming absolutely did not believe it. He put down the glass of water and mentioned that today he had indeed encountered something miraculous. Yi Tianming bought a pill for his sister. Witnessing the miraculous pill turn a middle-aged woman back to her 20s, he hurriedly took out the vial containing the pill. The girl carefully observed the pill and handed it to her grandfather, affirming, this is indeed the pill refined by the master. Yi Tianming was stunned when he heard her say that this pill was made from ice spiritual herb. It's the ice spiritual herb that I gave to him, he exclaimed, choking on water, unable to believe his ears. Yi Tianli picked up the pill and examined it closely, then scolded Tianming for causing a disaster. Fan Xian, after being beaten, had to be hospitalized. While being bandaged by a nurse, he unexpectedly saw the bounty information for superpower wielders featuring Xini's image. Recalling their meeting at La Hen's house, he quickly stood up, ignoring the bandaging, and called to report that he knew the whereabouts of the culprit. At Chen Xiong's house, the information was immediately transmitted, gathering superpower wielders interested in the reward at that location. Chen Qiu reported to Chen Xiong that Sho Xi's people had not yet arrived. Chen Xiong was anxious to get in touch but could only wait. Other superpower wielders appeared impatient. Xie Long, an S-level superpower wielder, doubted whether Chen Xiong truly relied on Sho Xi. Xie Yi is also an S-level superpower wielder, agreeing with Xie Long. The two are confident that they can help Chen Xiong catch the target. Suddenly, the bell rang, and Xie Long asked in surprise, what was that sound? Outside the window, a flock of crows flew by, drawing attention. As the crows broke through the glass door, their feathers fell. In an instant, both Xie Yi and Xie Long were killed swiftly and accurately. Xie Long didn't have time to say a word. Chen Xiong was surprised to notice another person who had appeared out of nowhere. Wu De, the left thumb of Sho Xi, sat by the door with his beloved crow. Chen Xiong anxiously asked who Wu De was and what he wanted. Xue Zhu appeared to reassure him, I'm sorry, CEO Chen. Someone spoke without consideration and needed to be taught a lesson. The 2 lives lost were her way of teaching. Accompanying her were Luo Di, Kai Dui, and the puppet leader. Wu De approached Kai Dui, and seeing that there were enough people, Xue Zhu decided to take action. The sunlight was glaring, and Fan Xian said seriously, follow me. Wu Go, a level 1 superpower wielder wearing sunglasses, asked, are you sure that person is at your girlfriend's house? Fan Xian confidently replied, I saw it with my own eyes. Catching them will earn us a reward of 100 million, and we will split it. Wu Go nodded, preparing to get to work. You have informed the Chen family, so their people should arrive soon. Fan Xian grinned wickedly, therefore, we must make haste. Providing effective clues costs only 1 million, but catching them will yield 100 million. In another place, Yi Juyu was tense, frowning. Both he and Wu Chen were intently resting their chins on their hands, looking down. On the floor were 3 branches of flowers, their petals resembling precious diamonds. Wu Chen pointed at the flowers and asked, Master, your pill refining furnace is broken, how are we supposed to refine pills now? Yi Juyu pondered, I forgot about the furnace explosion. Finally, he sighed, rubbing his head helplessly, it seems I have to make a trip to Xianming first, they should have high-grade pill refining furnaces there. Suddenly, Ishi Ni walked in, holding a towel to dry her hair, cheerfully saying, Sister La Hen, your bathroom is really nice. It's the first time I've taken a bath in such a big bathroom. La Hen brought in a plate of fruit, smiling warmly, isn't it great? I love taking baths and have high demands for bathrooms, so I bought a place with a large bathroom. She placed the fruit platter on the table and invited everyone to eat. Hearing this, Yi Juyu and Wu Chen instinctively looked at each other. Yi Juyu suddenly shouted, got it. Then, he tossed the 3 flowers into the pot and waved his hand to cast a spell, causing the fire in the pot to blaze up. Ishi Ni anxiously asked, Senior, are you sure you can refine the pill like this? La Hen explained, as long as the fire is controlled properly, it can be done. The fire grew larger and then suddenly shrank, leaving only smoke and 2 red pills with swirling patterns on them. Juyu confidently held one up, making everyone gasp in admiration. La Hen was astonished that the miraculous pill was created this way. He handed the 2 pills to La Hen, saying, "This is a detoxification pill, capable of neutralizing most poisons in an instant. Please help me sell it." La Hen looked at it happily. "If it's for a special occasion, its price will be sky high. Just leave it to me, I will definitely help you sell it for the best price." Juyu suddenly stopped smiling, leaving everyone confused. Suddenly, he shot straight up into the air, causing everyone to panic. What on earth is happening? In a tense atmosphere, Sho Xi appeared to meet Qin Xiong. He immediately asked, "Where is your boss?" Sho Xi gently held the umbrella and smiled, replying, "CEO Qin, don't be in a hurry, isn't it still 10 minutes until the appointment?" Qin Xiong propped his chin on his hand, showing impatience and threatening, "You better not make any mistakes." Suddenly, a flock of black crows flew towards him from nowhere. The subordinates shouted in panic, "Boss, be careful." From among the crows, Wu De appeared, his face covered, wearing a straw cloak, and in an instant, he pressed a bright red sickle against Qin Xiong's neck. Sho Xi calmly said, "CEO Chen, we only have a cooperative relationship, we are not your subordinates, so please watch your words." Qin Xiong was a bit hesitant but still tried to negotiate, "I am also party A, don't you want more spirit stones?" Hearing this, Sho Xi waved his hand in satisfaction. Wu De quickly retracted the sickle and slowly approached Qin Xiong, disregarding the anger of the subordinates. Just that one action made Qin Xiong cough nervously in fear. His face turned pale, determined that he would make these people pay. Zhao Hu whispered in his ear, "Boss, that guy is very strong. Now we still have to rely on Jin Sho Xi's people to catch him, so let's not get angry for the time being." Qin Xiong glanced at the clock. There were 8 minutes left until the operation began. Wu De was sitting in a tree, while Luo Di and Kai Dui were below. Sho Xi calmly closed her eyes. There was movement in the grass, and she opened her eyes to see who had arrived. The others looked somewhat frightened, and a spatial vortex appeared, causing Sho Xi's subordinates to panic. Juyu stepped out of the space, and both sides were astonished, shouting, "Is it you?" Zhao Hu quickly pointed, "Boss, that's him. He killed the young master." Qin Xiong angrily slammed his hand on the table and ordered, "Catch him for me, I will slowly torture him." Kai Dui, terrified, gritted his teeth and broke out in a cold sweat, thinking that he wasn't the con artist Yi Bing had invited, was he? Damn it, it seems he has deceived both me and Yi Tianming. Wu De raised his hand, and a flock of black crows swooped down towards Yi Juyu. He calmly waved his hand, and immediately the crows fell to the ground. The other guy was very surprised. Kai Dui said to Sho Xi, "He is very powerful. Luo Di and I once fought him, that teleporting spirit stone was taken by him." Sho Xi grinned sinisterly, "So it's you." Qin Xiong pulled out the walkie-talkie and ordered, "All superpowers, head to the Golden Sand Park immediately." Master warily observed the crowd behind him. He was completely surrounded but showed no signs of fear. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, silent. A tall, scarred man confirmed with Qin Xiong that capturing Yi Juyu would earn a reward of 100 million. Qin Xiong gritted his teeth and declared, "Capture him alive, and I'll add another 50 million. Second-tier superpower, Dai Lu, licked his lips excitedly, making money these days is really easy. A red-haired girl approached with a detector, hesitantly saying, "CEO Chen, are you sure you're not mistaken?" This girl was Xia Xing, a second-tier superpower wielder. She disdainfully placed her hands on her hips and said, "The electric wave oscillation isn't even at level 1. Dai Lu was even more determined to get that money. He placed his hand on the ground, and a green wave spread out. It quickly reached Yi Juyu, but he stood on that wave, his expression showing no fear, and nothing happened. Seeing this, the two men stood there in shock. How is this possible? Sho Xi laughed and said, "As expected, it's him." At this moment, Yi Juyu was floating in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. Not even touching that wave. Dai Lu wondered, flight ability? It's truly rare. But how can a level 1 superpower wielder like him use his abilities so skillfully? Sho Xi confirmed that the measuring device was functioning properly. Dai Lu turned and said, no matter if he's in the air, I'll leave it to you. Sho Xi quickly spread her black wings behind her and confidently said, the sky is my territory. Immediately, she soared into the air in front of Yi Juyu. She dove in, using her legs to create a massive explosion. Suddenly, her eyes widened in shock. Yi Juyu only used one hand to counter her attack. He calmly observed her wings, animal transformation ability, and the ability to alter objects as well, all thanks to the power of the spirit stone. Still in the air, he seriously raised his hand, gently grasping her ankle, immobilizing her. He then tossed her aside, and she landed, creating a blinding explosion. Dust flew everywhere, and Dai Lu picked her up in his arms, commanding, let's go together. Yi Juyu remained unfazed, immediately raising his hand to create a formation, then let's deal with this all at once. The golden circle he created began to grow larger. The blinding light radiated strength everywhere. Wherever it went, it swept away the enemies. All of them were drawn into the circle. Finally, he brushed his hands off with satisfaction, done. The old men saw the situation was dire, their faces drained of blood. He stammered, where did they go? Yi Juyu continued to create a floating sphere in his hand, saying, a good place. Sho Xi remarked, at first glance, they don't seem to be superpower wielders. Suddenly, feathers began to float around him. The masked man led a giant crow flying in. He snatched the man's weapon and casually made a few basic moves. Each part of the crow was instantly severed. Before he could understand what had just happened, a loud crash echoed, and it was a final farewell. He held the scythe in his hand, complimenting, this looks even cooler than Wu Chen's hammer. The man trembled, trying to stand up. As he lifted the scythe, the ice began to melt. When he plunged the scythe into the ground, sharp shards of ice suddenly erupted. He quickly stepped back, and Sho Xi grinned, praising, quick reaction there. The two floated in the air. Surrounded by the ice wall, Sho Xi stood behind him. Kai Dui said to Luo Di, I heard that there is a snow woman in Jin Sho Xi who can change the weather in an instant, unexpectedly, it's her. It's rumored that she once single-handedly defeated 3 level 4 superpower wielders and killed all 3 of them. Chen Xiong smugly thought to himself, Jin Sho Xi is indeed reliable, at this rate, capturing him will be as easy as turning over my hand. She commanded, end it. The snow spell was immediately cast, and Yi Juyu was frozen all over. She raised her hand to her mouth and smiled, but before she could revel in her success, he spoke, finally, there is a worthy opponent. She was startled, he had created a large fire circle around them. She gritted her teeth in annoyance, using her fan to cover her face. Fire and ice clashed, and all the ice melted under the heat. She was horrified, how is he still unharmed? Suddenly, he appeared behind her, placed a hand on her shoulder, and swiftly took the umbrella from her hand. Red threads wrapped around her waist, pulling her away. At that moment, a giant puppet appeared. She was stunned, thank you, boss. He grunted, and from his eyes, one could see the puppet charging towards him. A loud explosion echoed in the sky, and his face darkened. Suddenly, a small girl rushed over and hugged him tightly, crying and saying, young master, you're finally back. Yi Juyu smiled gently, stroking the girl's head, it's been a long time, Jiao Jiao. Everyone was astonished. Luo Di's eyes widened, constantly thinking, so this is what the boss looks like. Chen Xiong spoke up, hey, why is boss Jin Sho Xi hugging that guy? What's going on? Sho Xi was even more shocked, her face pale, covering her mouth, realizing he was the young master that her boss had mentioned. Jiao Jiao continued to cry, for 500 years, Jiao Jiao has missed the young master so much, I don't want to be apart from the young master anymore. He comforted her, alright, we won't be apart anymore. Then, he patted her head and asked, is there any good news from the 3 of you Luo? Suddenly, a loud shout rang out, Kai Di, Zhao Hu, kill them. Hearing this, they immediately ran away, ignoring Chen Xiong who was reaching out, are you kidding? You want us to face half of Jin Sho Xi? They were terrified, sweating and shouting, I don't want to die. Jiao Jiao wiped her tears and, with a sinister smile, ordered, don't let them escape. Luo Di heard the command and swiftly blocked Kaidi's path. Hehe, want to run? Wu De and a group of black crows had also managed to corner Zhao Hu. At Shui Zhu's feet, there was nothing but cold ice. A familiar figure stepped in front of Chen Xiong. He was terrified, his face drained of blood, and shouted, "You can't do this. I've already spent 5 spirit stones. I'll double the price, just kill him." Shui Zhu leaned her umbrella against the icy ground and gently said, "CEO Chen, it's over." Returning to La Hen's home, she placed 2 pills into a wooden box and asked Yi Shi, "Who exactly is he?" To be able to use a pan to refine pills, it's truly miraculous. She admiredly replied, "I only know that the senior is very powerful, but with such skills, he must be a great character of legendary fame." Wu Chen raised his hammer in agreement, "Master is certainly powerful." Suddenly, a loud explosion occurred, blowing the wooden door off. The two turned back in panic. Fan Xian had brought a man in black. La Hen angrily said, "It's you." Fan Xian laughed and pointed, "Wu Gu, capture them." Waiting for that guy to come back, of course, I will be tied up and helpless. Wu Gu smiled wickedly, holding the hammer, thinking to himself, getting this 100 million is really too easy. Wu Chen and Yi Shi stood in front of La Hen. She cursed, "You scoundrel, scum, don't even think about getting away with this." Wu Chen rushed forward, raising the hammer. Wu Gu tensed up, his clothes in tatters, quickly transforming into a wolf to scare them. He swiped with his sharp claws, and Wu Chen stepped back to dodge. La Hen and Wu Chen fell painfully to the ground, and before they could regain their composure, he jumped up with a powerful punch, quick as lightning. Yi Shi used a palm strike against him, but unfortunately, with just one punch, he knocked her away. She painfully landed on the ground before the worried eyes of the other two. They looked fearfully at the person in front of them. Fan Xian put his hands in his pockets, smirking. After Shui Zhu finished dealing with things, he turned to report to his boss. Jiao Jiao raised her hand to introduce, "From now on, all actions of Sho Xi members will follow the young master's command." Everyone replied in unison, "Yes, we pay our respects to the young master." He smiled awkwardly, thinking to himself, "This girl is still just like 500 years ago, always able to gather a bunch of talented people." Suddenly, he discovered something. Jiao Jiao had just linked arms with him and was about to speak when he interrupted her. "Jiao Jiao, come with me to handle a few matters." He soared up once again, to the astonishment of those left behind. The two men on the other side were gritting their teeth. Wu Gu sensed something, and his body immediately stiffened. Jiao Jiao and Yi Juyu teleported right in front of them. Wu Chen clung to his leg, crying out, "Master." Yi Shi also looked at him joyfully, "Senior." Suddenly, in front of Fan Xian's chest, there were flashes of golden light, and he struggled but couldn't move. Jiao Jiao covered her mouth with her hand, laughing as she asked, "Is it the enemy?" She suddenly laughed eerily, wanting to rush forward. All she had to do was wave her hand, and the threads immediately tightened around the enemy, rendering them immobile. She turned to seek his permission, "Young master, may I capture them?" He agreed, and she relaxed her hand, crossing her arms. The house was suddenly filled with screams. Chen Kai-chi, who was severely injured, slowly opened his eyes. He painfully clutched his chest, trying to stand up. Dark Shadow Dragon King, a level 6 superpower wielder, stepped on one person and disdainfully said, Sho Xi, is this all the strength you have?" He looked at Chen Kai-chi, "Number 11, you have awakened too." Chen Kai-chi struggled to speak, "This body is severely injured, help me find a place to heal." The Dark Shadow Dragon King turned away, "Trouble is coming, follow me." He carried Chen Kai-chi on his back and flew away. Lu Qingfeng and his senior sister approached on their swords, landing near a person lying motionless. The senior sister also slowly moved closer. Lu Qingfeng carefully checked to see if the person was still alive. Information appeared indicating that this person was named Luda, one of the right-hand members of Sho Xi. The senior sister held an iPad, revealing further, "We can kill him, but what level of monster is he after all?" Lu Qingfeng slung the sword over his shoulder, looked at the corpse in front of him, and asked, "Luda of Sho Xi? Is he a right-hand member?" The senior sister nodded in confirmation. The right-hand members of Jin Sho Xi are much stronger than the left. I met Lu De once, his strength far exceeds mine. She sat down to observe more closely. From the wounds on the corpse and the energy fluctuations we measured, it is highly likely that it was caused by number 3. Lu Qingfeng rubbed his chin in doubt, if it really was number 3. So the strength of those monsters is beyond what Jin Sho Xi can confront. So whose fluctuation I measured is it? According to the news from the headquarters, that guy is also heading this way. He suddenly realized, clapping his hands together, ah, I see, the two of them must have met. Senior sister, if they gather together, it's very likely that the one I tracked down has just awakened. The senior sister looked up and said, can I say a few words? Lu Qingfeng shyly scratched his head, inviting her to continue. Actually, your analysis is not wrong. The person you are chasing is very likely to have just awakened. We still don't know much about their awakening process, but one thing is certain, they are related to the Great War 500 years ago. Moreover, their numbers are increasing. Lu Qingfeng asked again, I remember that Shui Master Pavilion captured one before, right? Master, did they find out anything? The senior sister crossed her arms and shook her head, not really. The order from above is to pursue and investigate these monsters. No information should be overlooked. But if Lu De is also dead, then the strength of these monsters is beyond what we can handle. We should report back to the master first. Lu Qingfeng raised his hand, and the talismans from his hand covered the corpse on the ground. He hurried over to lift the body, holding a sword in one hand and carrying the corpse on his shoulder, then turned back to say, Senior sister is right, let's go back to Xianming first. Kai Dui was sitting smoking in front of a tall apartment building, with Wu De in the tree and Luo Di at the base of the tree. Kai Dui said, I didn't expect that little guy to be the young master of the boss. Luo Di was also surprised that the boss was a beautiful young girl. Kai Dui glanced over and asked, are you really willing to be a subordinate to that little guy in the future? We don't even know what kind of background he has. Luo Di held something in his hand and replied, I have no problem with that, as long as I can continue using this weapon, it doesn't matter who I follow. He then looked up to ask Wu De, what do you think? Wu De replied, that guy is stronger than the boss, following him will only bring benefits, not harm. Kai Dui extinguished the burning cigarette on the stone slab and threw it away. Actually, I still don't understand why the boss doesn't allow us to use black spirit stones but only permits the use of purple spirit stones. Luo Di explained, of course, the boss has her own intentions. We just need to follow along. Kai Dui asked further, so based on what can the right-hand people use the black spirit stone? If this continues, the distance will only grow. He angrily walked away. Now there was suddenly an unknown young master appearing out of nowhere. He joined Jin Sho Xi precisely for the spirit stone. If he couldn't get it, he would have to withdraw. Suddenly, Shui Zhu came over with an umbrella, startling him into turning back. She glared at him menacingly, if you dare to leave, I guarantee that in the next second, you will turn into ice shards. Kai Dui immediately became fearful, thinking, her spirit stone ability is too strong. Shui Zhu continued, Jin Sho Xi does not allow traitors. If you want to leave, go tell the boss yourself. After that, she closed the umbrella and walked away, leaving Kai Dui confused and alone. By the way, you guys got this wrong. Our right-hand members are not superpower wielders but cultivators. As she spoke, she turned her face back with a sharp gaze. Kai Dui and Luo Di immediately widened their eyes in astonishment. At La Hen's house, Yi Juyu was extremely tired, being hugged on each side by Wu Chen and Jiao Jiao. She looked at them with a pitiful expression. Jiao Jiao doesn't want to be away from the young master. Wu Chen also spoke up, I don't want to be away from the master. Yi Shi and I, feeling uncomfortable, drank water and observed. La Hen stepped forward to ask her, startling her and causing her to spit out water, what's wrong? Are you jealous? She shyly denied quickly, not at all. Yi Juyu said affectionately, it's been 500 years, and you're still so childlike. He patted her head to comfort her, all right, haven't we met again now? I promise I won't suddenly disappear anymore. Hearing this, she smiled softly like a child being coaxed. La Hen looked shocked this time, hardly believing that this was the infamous Sho Xi that people ran from upon hearing his name. He spoke in a deep, warm voice, "That's right, how have you all been living for the past 500 years? Do you know where the Yuluo are now?" She lowered her head, her expression sad, and sighed. "During that great battle, almost all the cultivators took action. The four of us followed the young master's orders, dividing to support the other sects cultivating immortals. When the final battle took place, I used the golden escape to hide underground to save my life. That was also when he charged towards the giant monster following the light. When she woke up after the cliff, everything was in ruins. In front of her was the modern world." She continued, her voice full of emotion, "After I returned, the world had completely changed. I lost contact with Yuluo and the others." He nodded and said, "Their strength is formidable, they surely have a way to survive." She recalled, her voice somber, "In tattered clothes, I walked through the bustling streets in the rain. After returning, I began searching for people. But nearly all the sects had vanished. I had nowhere to go. Then, I avoided contact and practiced for nearly 100 years in a desolate mountain region." He asked about Sho Xi. She explained gravely, "After the cultivators disappeared, spirit stones and superpower wielders appeared rapidly on Earth. I found it strange, so I began to investigate, but alone I had limited capabilities. So I chose some subordinates and established Sho Xi." He asked worriedly, "Do you suspect the appearance of spirit stones is related to the monster from that year?" She replied seriously, "It's not a suspicion, it is certainly related. But I'm not sure if the appearance of spirit stones is coincidental or—" She hesitated for a moment and then continued, "or if someone is orchestrating it from behind the scenes." He asked, "Have you found any useful information yet?" She nodded, "Yes. Over the past 2 years, I discovered a problematic place." He asked, "Which place?" She confidently asserted, "Association of Superpower Wielders." Suddenly, a noise rang out, and La Hen volunteered to check it out. She looked through the peephole and quickly reported, "It's people from the Association of Superpower Wielders." The senior sister cautiously said to Lu Qingfeng, "Someone is coming." The two hid behind a large rock, carefully observing. 2 women approached, and she frowned in confusion. "Association of Superpower Wielders?" Lu Qingfeng said, "Senior sister, these 2 are not ordinary, they seem to be officials from the Association of Superpower Wielders." The senior sister replied seriously, "I wonder if they are here because of us. Let's observe the situation for now." Qingfeng, eager for a fight, said, "In my opinion, these guys like to cause trouble. Let's have a fight with them, I love fighting with superpower wielders the most." Lu Sha, an official from the Association of Superpower Wielders, spoke up, "Looks like they haven't gone far." Ing Wang, another official from the Association of Superpower Wielders, raised her hand to her nose, "There's the smell of cultivators again, this is indeed troublesome." Lu Sha smiled sinisterly. She immediately spread her hand, and a red rose appeared in the palm. From there, a formation was activated, and the rose petals flew towards the senior sister. The senior sister anxiously shouted, "This isn't good." Lu Sha smiled mysteriously, "I've found it." The rose petals suddenly became sharp and rushed towards them. Qingfeng quickly drew his sword and sliced through each petal. He placed the blade on the ground, and the 2 of them were cautious. Lu Sha said, "Aren't you exposed now?" Ing Wang crossed his arms and laughed, "It seems like you are just 2 lackeys." Qingfeng angrily pointed at them and shouted, "I am a young elite member of Xian Ming." "Who are you?" Ing Wang confidently replied, "Xian Ming." "What a joke, this world no longer needs cultivators like you." Behind him appeared a gigantic black crow, its eyes glowing red with the word, "Death." It charged quickly towards Qingfeng with a dark source of magical power. Qingfeng swiftly performed the Clear Mind Sword formula. A wave of green swept through, scattering leaves everywhere, striking the crow and causing a massive explosion. In the thick smoke, Qingfeng worriedly coughed, "Senior sister, are you okay?" The senior sister approached you, placing a hand on your shoulder while holding a talisman in the other hand. "I'm fine, these 2 are very strong, let's retreat." She raised the talisman, covering one eye, and it transformed into a blinding golden light. Then, the 2 floated within a large invisible sphere. On the ground lay the corpse that had been wrapped in talismans earlier. Ing Wang sighed, these cultivators are indeed top-notch at escaping. Scene change, La Han was opening the door for someone to enter the house. Ishi and I wondered, what do the people from the Association of Superpower Wielders want? Standing outside the door were two individuals wearing black glasses, their expression serious. Jiao Jiao whispered, it seems they are just the lowest-ranking members of the Association of Superpower Wielders. Not a cause for concern. La Han asked, do you have business here? The man replied, there were signs of a battle here earlier, and we are required by law to investigate. Jiao Jiao approached with a black card, saying, they are with us. He examined the card closely, Jin Sho Xi, you are the leader Jin Sho Xi. She coldly confirmed it. He nervously returned the card to her with both hands, I understand now, I will report back to the association. The woman holding the device asked, do you have any superpower wielders who are not registered? According to our investigation, there is an unnamed aura fighting on the side of the association, Jiao Jiao replied. That's right, there are some who haven't registered yet, I'll have them come to register later, she said, adjusting her glasses. You must already know the rules of the association, so we won't trouble you any further. Without hesitation, they immediately left. Jiao Jiao turned back, her gaze lingering on the astonished faces of the others. Juyu spoke up, we are not superpower wielders, but we still have to register at the Association of Superpower Wielders. She stepped closer to him, her voice gentle yet firm, young master, this world has changed completely. She lifted the white curtain, just a small clash, and the people from the Association of Superpower Wielders appeared immediately. She looked out the window, her eyes following the figures of the two people, saying, all superpower wielders must register with the association, otherwise, they cannot freely use their powers. Then, she pulled the curtain back down, her voice lower, moreover, they are not as simple as they appear. She sat down in a chair and continued calmly, the two from earlier have at least reached level 2, equivalent to the refined Qi stage in our realm. But this is just the lowest-ranking member in their association. Juyu then asked, so how powerful are their higher-ups? He moved to sit next to her. She raised her hand, her eyes full of thought, not very clear, but with my abilities, I definitely can't compete with them. But now that you are back, perhaps the situation will be different. However, I suggest that until my suspicions are confirmed, we should still act according to their rules. He patted her head, making her blush, all right, I'll listen to you. Ishi and I spoke up, my grandfather once warned me not to use any skills related to cultivating immortals in front of the Association of Superpower Wielders, or we would get into big trouble. Juyu asked, what about Xian Ming? Don't they care about this? She sighed and shook her head in frustration, Xian Ming is too mysterious. No one knows where they actually are except for internal members. The only path for cultivators now is to join Xian Ming. He lightly hummed, interesting. 500 years ago, all cultivators saved the world together, but now they are being ostracized like this. Jiao Jiao chimed in, so we must definitely clarify this matter. La Hen spread his arms wide. But entering the Association of Superpower Wielders is not an easy task. The friendly tournament of those superpower forces is also organized by the association, perhaps we can start from there. Juyu recalled the girl with purple hair, resting his hand on his chin, speaking of this, I remember someone invited me to participate before. Jiao Jiao nodded, the friendly tournament is indeed a good breakthrough opportunity, but we need to discuss how to proceed in detail. She wrapped her arm around his, speaking in a sulky tone, oh, if only Yu Luo were here, she excels at these things, but I'm not very good at them. He pinched her cheek, smiling lightly, I plan to go to Xianming to see if there's any news about Yu Luo, we will definitely find something. Suddenly, the phone vibrated. Jiao Jiao reached for it, looked at the screen, and froze. It was a message from Yuan Tai, boss, Luda is dead. She stood still, gripping the phone tightly. Juyu asked, what happened? She replied, one of my subordinates was killed, I need to go check it out. He wanted to go with her, and she immediately agreed. Ishi and I and Wu Chen also wanted to follow. Juyu waved his hand, everyone knows the strength of Jiao Jiao's subordinate. Anyone who can kill them must be very powerful. Now everyone is still weak, just stay here and wait for me to go. The two listened, feeling aggrieved but said nothing. Juyu and Jiao Jiao quickly disappeared. Lahen placed her hand on Yi Shini's shoulder, encouraging her, leave the fighting to them, I'll take the two of you to have fun in some interesting places. Hearing this, the two were delighted, their eyes lighting up. Lu Sha sat beside the corpse, unsure of how to handle it. Ing Wang spoke up, take the spirit stone out of his body. She was a bit scared, he is from Jin Sho Xi, you must be sure to do that. I'm afraid it will cause a conflict. He laughed wickedly, the association allows Jin Sho Xi to exist, do you think it's because they are afraid of them? She picked up the talisman, smiling mysteriously, got it. She pointed, and the talisman was removed. Ing Wang said, people from Jin Sho Xi all have some strength, keeping them around is somewhat beneficial. Suddenly she was startled. He asked, what's wrong? She turned pale, there is no spirit stone in his body. Her words struck like lightning. He shouted, what did you say? The scene shifted to a place full of sharp peaks. The fierce lightning bolt struck the ground from the sky. A beast approached the corpse of a human, praising, what a wonderful body. A beast much larger, several dozen times bigger, walked up, its head resembling a buffalo but with wings. I'll give you a few days to get used to it, then you can join the plan, it replied. This planet has lasted too long, it's time for it to end. The large dragon said, according to this planet's time calculation, there is 1 year left until Lord Xingxiang arrives. Before that, we just need to complete our mission. It nodded, I understand. Ing Wang sat down beside the corpse, asking, how can this be? Have you checked thoroughly? Lu Sha asked to confirm again. She pulled out a device, opened it, and a green wave spread over Lu Da's body. The device displayed the text, energy reaction, no. She closed her eyes and confirmed, that's right, he is not a superpower wielder. There is no spirit stone energy in his body. Ing Wang pondered, not a superpower wielder, but possesses the strength of a level 5 superpower wielder. He wondered, could he be? Before he could finish his sentence, Lu Sha said, you guessed correctly, he might be a cultivator, truly a shocking secret. It seems that Jin Sho Xi's intentions are not as simple as they appear. They then looked at Lu Da. Lu Sha asked, what should we do next? He ordered decisively, take the corpse back for the association to handle. Report to the higher-ups immediately. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual. They shouted in alarm, who is there? Immediately, she waved her hand, and a rose appeared with a flurry of petals. He summoned the beast once again, its claws lunging forward. Frost quickly covered the petals and the claws that had just been created. Xuezhu, Jiao Jiao, and Yi Juyu appeared instantly. Ing Wang recognized Xuezhu from Jin Sho Xi. She covered her face and smiled, saying, it seems you two have uncovered things you shouldn't know. He remained unfazed, crossed his arms, and replied, I didn't expect you, Jin Sho Xi, to be cultivators. How did you pass the association's tests? Xuezhu waved her hand, and sharp ice shards appeared, this is not something you need to worry about right now. Lu Sha raised his hand to the sky, forming a formation, and the rose flew in from a distance. The clash between the power of the rose and the frost occurred, ultimately resulting in a massive explosion. Smoke billowed thickly. From the haze, a gigantic black wing appeared. Ing Wang exclaimed, I can't believe it, cultivators have such miraculous powers. Lu Sha whispered in his ear, watch that person, he has locked onto a target. Looking towards Jiao Jiao and Yi Juyu, who were standing next to the corpse, he wondered, who is that person? And what about that young man? I don't remember Jin Sho Xi having two such individuals. Jiao Jiao raised her hand, and red threads began to spread out. Lu Sha shouted in panic, be careful. As she pushed Ing Wang away, a thread wrapped around her wrist. She looked in horror as the thread spread across her arm, gritting her teeth in pain. Her arm was severed. The thread broke, and the petals scattered everywhere. Ing Wang stood watching Jiao Jiao's actions, terrified, his face pale, sweating profusely. You are the red-clothed beauty demon. Lu Sha gasped in fear and asked, is she the red-clothed beauty demon? Ing Wang looked fearfully at Jiao Jiao's figure. The association has always rumored that there is an unregistered superpower wielder whose ability is to use red threads to attack and control enemies. The association has repeatedly dispatched senior officials to capture that person, but they have never succeeded. No one has ever seen the true form of this person. Years of investigation have only revealed that this person wears a red hat and has the ability to control others using red threads. All the dispatched officers have collapsed. Jiao Jiao is known as the red-clothed beauty demon. Yi Juyu crossed his arms. It seems Jiao Jiao is even more famous than I am. Lu Sha, pale, speculated, could the red-clothed beauty demon be the boss Jin Sho Xi? She stood with her arms crossed, trembling. Ing Wang spoke up, it seems we have learned some really terrifying news. Jiao Jiao smiled seductively, it seems you know a bit too much. She raised her hand, and the threads wrapped around her index and pinky fingers spread out. He shouted in panic, be careful. Lu Sha, shocked and unable to collect herself, was attacked directly in the heart by the red threads, collapsing immediately in front of Ing Wang. He was extremely frightened, this person truly lives up to the rumors, their power is unfathomable. Xue Zhu stepped forward to intervene, wait a minute. Jiao Jiao immediately stopped and looked at her, can the boss hand that person over to me? Yi Juyu pondered, about to break through. Jiao Jiao turned back to him, and he nodded slightly in agreement. Ing Wang angrily shouted, do you really want to oppose the entire association of superpower wielders?